All right, guys, welcome to episode 314. 314 is our very first time pushing this shit out to Twitch. So get your Twitch on. Right?
Yeah.
Excellent. That's so good. I would like to let you guys know, if you're the laziest person, wait, strike that. If you're the laziest drinker in the world and you want to cheat, Watershed Distillery, right here in Ohio, Watershed Distillery is making a one ingredient old fashioned, which is not that much better than the normal 3 ingredients old fashioned, which would be bitters, orange, and bourbon. But the Watershed is just perfectly balanced, and in one bottle you can just pour that right over ice and drink it, and it's fantastic if you like old fashions. So
I'm a Manhattan person.
Again, there you have it. That's another one that's just it's a very simple, basic cocktail. So but Watershed is doing these now. The whole idea is just you can just buy one bottle and you just have a bottle, add ice, and you got a drink. So very cool. Good for them. And it's our friend Andy Connect, who used to be a bartender over at Porco. So those guys that work at Porco, they go on to greatness.
Yeah. Which one was he?
Andy, he's the guy we called Tall Andy. So
he's like thin, yes. Kind of like all-American looking.
Extremely cool.
I know who he is.
Yeah, tall guy, thin, dark hair. Very handsome.
He knew his shit too. He made a good Roman twist.
Yes,
hey, we have people watching on Twitch. Michigan Mike is on here.
Holy crap!
Yeah,
I'm Michigan Mike.
I know, and this just like that, it starts working.
Your governor sucks, Michigan Mike.
So is this going to be the kind of thing on Twitch where it's going to be like somebody's going to try to give us money to take our clothes off?
Maybe. I'm really cheap for that too, man.
Here we go.
Accomplishment.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh, that's what's happening.
Yeah, I was looking for the donation for getting Johnny Mac to get some clothes off, but I don't see the button, so we'll figure it.
Speaking of Johnny Mac, on his birthday, when I was editing the last Moto stories, I was doing some research and pulling up videos and stuff, and I found that lake. Well, Phil sent me a link to the Lake Erie Loop video.
Yeah.
And Johnny Mac is in it getting interviewed, and look at that baby face on that video, man. You had hair, you looked like you were 13, just all bubbly and happy to be there. That was what, 2005 or something like that?
Oh yeah, that was a long time ago.
Yeah. He looked like, Phil, you look like a younger version of yourself.
A while ago.
He looked like a completely different baby-faced like little guy or something. Like it was funny.
We were children. Yeah, we weren't full-blown adults just yet.
No.
So yeah.
Well, they say if you're not grown up by 50, you don't have to. So.
Oh, then I'm all over that.
Accomplished.
Yeah, I'm absolutely all over that. That's super cool. But we interestingly enough, so kind of back to the topic of motorcycles and our podcast, as it were. I can tell you that today we had a top temperature of 40 degrees, and it was quite sunny. And we did have a customer ride a bike into the shop for service. He gets the hardcore guy of the day award, and he did hit the spot of ice in my parking lot and lay his bike down.
Oh, so, no.
Yeah, so well done, except for the spot of ice in the parking lot. I give him all the props in the world, but he took it like a man. We didn't even know he laid the bike down until he came in the shop and told us he did it. So
okay, he wasn't injured or anything. No blood.
No injury, no nothing. He just said, he goes, "Oh man, I rode in here 15 minutes. It's cold out. Yeah, I know, and everything was great except for I laid the bike down in your parking lot." And I was like, "Oh," and you know, we're not savages. We salt. I mean, like it's as nice as a parking lot possibly can be, but you're going to have the occasional slippery spots.
You saying, yeah, and this, you're lucky it wasn't like 10 degrees out because all your plastics would have shattered right there.
Oh yeah. Exactly. Yeah, there's no doubt. And then I took the Zero out for a ride today, and it was cool. It was good. And there were several times out there that I felt the traction control activating, so keeping me from dying. So that's cool. Yeah. So I'm a fan of that. I'm going to go ahead and close out of my my Zoom or my Twitch because I think there's a tremendous amount of latency happening there as a result of me trying to operate on multiple frequencies at the same time. So
Yeah, I finally got new internet coming tomorrow because I can't deal with my shitty internet, especially doing all this stuff. So I actually upgraded. So I should be not.
that's good. Same company, or are you going with somebody fresh and new?
Well, we had Spectrum like 7 years ago through Case where my wife works.
Yeah.
And then they shut it off. They were like, we don't do that anymore. And they closed out our bill. And then they never took the gear and it never shut off.
So it's still here. Yeah.
But I was down to 3 megabits per second, which means that a YouTube video took 28 hours to upload.
Yeah, and that's the same speed I have just going through normal like 3G or whatever out of my phone. So
Right. It's terrible.
completely unacceptable. So, I'm kind of excited. I know we're going to be talking momentarily about the distinguished or the disgruntled gentleman's ride, which is always my preferred version of it. And they are going ahead with it. So right now it looks like it's full steam ahead, that it's going to be a real thing. It's going to be a real event. There's no reason to think it's not going to happen. And it looks like they got some really good protocols involved for all of us to follow to basically make sure that we don't kill anybody in the process, which is cool. And I will have to admit, I'm pretty excited about it, looking for having a May event. And it's going to be a big deal. So it's the 23rd of May, which is a Sunday. And always a Sunday. But so let's, fingers crossed for good weather, and we'll have at it.
So do all the people with underlying conditions right up front?
Excellent point. If you think you might be COVID hot, in the back of the pack, right? That's it. You can just breathe on each other at that point.
Right. Stay downstream.
Yeah, and so we do, friends of our show, people that we love, Bill Marar, we were just talking about the Lake Erie Loop. Bill Marar has been struck by the COVID. Kurt Edwards, our friend from Kentucky. We all love Kurt. Kurt has been struck by the vid. So, yeah, just a heads up. And
Sorry.
Tough stuff. What you got, Steve?
We were wondering where Smith was.
Yeah.
He misunderstood everything, and he's on Twitch wondering why he can't talk to us or see us.
Of course he is.
Of course he is. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, that sounds like that's good. So he can comment. That's cool. Or maybe he'll sign out of Twitch and sign back onto Zoom.
That's what we're working on, right?
Tell him to type up a joke.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Chris, tell us a joke.
Tell him to send us some bits and twits and tips. Yeah.
We need Chris. Never mind. What?
I thought this was the best he's ever sounded.
It's definitely the best joke he's told.
Yeah.
For real. Yeah, that's pretty good.
When I was editing the last Moto,
Keep in mind now, his whole family is on Twitch watching this.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. That's funny. All right, so he should be coming soon, too, so we'll have a Smith soon.
Okay, cool. Yeah. That's good. Yeah, I'm not going to even attempt to read the comments as we go along. Just on this particular setup with this old laptop, I feel like it was just incredible. It was like implying a bunch of latency in the situation.
I'll bring it up. If anybody says anything, I'll tell you. And you know what I can do is I can type it on the chat on the right of Zoom. So watch for the chat over here, and I'll add things.
Yeah, and I mean, if we like this, then this works out fun for people, and more power to them, right?
Yep, yeah, that's what we can do. Hey,
so you guys would like today? I would like to announce that we had our 100th subscriber to Patreon. And what was great was we got to the 99th subscriber, and I was like, oh shit, we're at 99 subscribers. We should do something about that. And I threw it up there that we needed to get to 100. And like a dumbass, I should have said we should have got to 150, because then a bunch of people would have signed on. But my dumbass, literally, the next guy who subscribed was going to be number 100. And it just happened to be Tom Pennington. We know you. We love you. We can't get enough of you. Tom Pennington down in New Orleans is our 100th patron. So well done, Tom Pennington. We are going to send you a box of goodies. In addition to our normal box of goodies, I'm going to send you some extra down low shit that's like super secret squirrel old timer POC crap that nobody else has. That stuff that was like prototype stuff. Because screw it, you're our 100th patron. You should have something special.
That's awesome.
So well done, Tom. But to get Tom, and that was great. Apparently, my reaching out through the Facebooks and whatever, letting people know that we needed to have somebody reach to 100, caused 2 or 3 other people to cancel their subscriptions. Or just not renew. So people were like, "Oh shit, I'm paying for that. Wait, I never watched that crap anymore." So we got a couple on board, but we lost a couple too. So it's pretty funny. And the big fun about that is it didn't hurt our thing, because the people that dropped out were like the $1, $5 people, Right. So yeah, it was fun. So it's pretty rad that Tom got to be number 100, but then our Patreon count immediately dropped within 24 hours, like back to 99 or something. So we picked up a few, we lost a few. So it's very fucking cool.
Did Rand quit?
I don't know. Yeah, I have no idea. That's an excellent question. I didn't look, and I'm not going to look it up right now. I promise. I don't want to be that guy. But I
hope we didn't lose Rand.
I don't want to lose Rand under any circumstances. There has been a flurry of activity from our Patreon subscribers, and I mean that they are just they're on fire, and the stuff that's coming across is hilarious because one of our subscribers is absolute Kansas City guy, Kevin, and he was talking for John for McElfresh, talking about the low dollar bike, an affordable heavy hitter. He's like, dude, a Triumph Tiger 1050. They're all day long. They're $3,000 to $3,500. It's a hell of a motorcycle. It's tons of fun, and he absolutely loves his. Fuel injection, 3 cylinders, sport touring, 115 horsepower. Thanks. Yeah, that's legit. Okay. That's legit.
I'll have to look at that a little bit. Thank you.
It's a triple. I
don't hate triples like Steve Hoffert.
Yeah. And we were
I don't like the cadence. I don't hate the triple itself. I hate the way it feels.
I did want to make
you just haven't written a good one.
Yeah, I wanted to make a comment that when we talked about those top 25 motorcycles of all time, or at least the top 25 motorcycles according to the Rob Report, that wasn't our opinion of what the top 25 motorcycles were. That was somebody else, and you're welcome to have your opinion on that too. Oh, Jesus Christmas.
Oh my God.
Man, Sleepy's been losing some pounds over there.
Yeah, Sleepy dropped a few pounds.
Wow, Steve, you're looking a lot younger.
That is fantastic.
Hey Phil, just going a little bit back on the DGR. I heard on the previous podcast that you were thinking about going through the railroad, going down to
I was thinking about ending up at the
Cuyahoga Valley.
The Scenic Railroad, just because it's a cool spot and there's trains there, and it might be a fun spot to get pictures with your motorcycle in front of the trains and stuff. Yeah, and but if anybody else has any other ideas, more power to you. I'd love to hear them. That's all good. I feel like we're dealing with a Benjamin Button situation going over there at Sleepy.
And that's not a bad thing.
Can anybody name the bar that is in the background of Sleepy's screensaver?
No.
It is the Tonga Room in San Francisco. At least I think it is, yeah. Because it's got the indoor pool with the cabana that floats, and the band gets loaded onto the floating cabana, and the cabana wanders out into the middle of the floating pool and plays music for you. And then every half an hour or so, it actually rains. Rain comes out of the sky, well, out of the ceiling, onto you as you're dining. And every 10 years or so, they threaten to tear it down. If you get a chance and you're in San Francisco, go to the freaking Tonga Room. It's old school OG. The drinks are usually pretty horrible, but the ambiance is amazing.
I think that may have been Beatrice sitting in.
No, that was definitely a stand-in. That was a Sleepy stunt double. Oh, she's back. Yes, there she goes. There's the mini Sleepy. So another follow-up to our discussion over the only beautiful motorcycle that ever had a square headlight.
No.
All right.
Hold on.
Okay.
So we're just gonna say this. The Honda CX650 Turbo does not count. We discussed it. It's not a square headlight.
What about the 750?
It's rounded a square, but it's not a square like DOT car headlight bulb. So Ben Big, we love you, Ben Big, took it upon himself. He said one of the top 25 square headlight bikes, and he shows a picture of the CX650 Turbo, which again, not an ugly motorcycle, right? Not by any standard. It's a beautiful bike, but it's not a square headlight.
You like it?
So he immediately responded with a picture of this, which I got to give him credit for. Shit. Come on, damn it. Fuck it. So it's a Ducati 888. And the Ducati 888.
If you turn off your background, maybe.
I know, right. But if you look at the Ducati 888, the Ducati 888 is gorgeous. It is a beautiful bike by any standard. And it has a freaking straight up DOT car square headlight in it. Damn it.
So last week, did we look at the Honda VT500E?
Well, we probably didn't, but we probably should have. That's a square headlighted son of a bitch right there too. You know,
I have a sick one, but I can't get past this fucking. Ever since Google switched it to like the Pinterest bullshit, so when you find a picture, you can't actually show it.
No, you can't. Right. Yeah.
Oh, it's pissing me off right now.
Open it up in a new tab kind of thing.
That's what I'm trying, man.
Hey, Phil, I thought you were going to say the Katana was going to win.
But did the Katana, did it have a square headlight or did it have a lens? Because I thought it had a lens.
I think it was a lens. I don't think it was fully square, but it was
square-ish, but I'm basically talking about the actual frickin' DOT square low beam for a car. So it's got a high beam and low beam, different bulb in it. And it's just was motorcycle companies being cheap as shit. But the Ducati 888, I completely forgot about that. And plus, it's a cool name. I mean, 888, the triple ocho. Come on, that's cool.
How about this bad boy? I know we didn't get them here in the States, but I wish I could find one. The CBX 750F.
Yeah, that's
two square headlights in the front, man.
That almost looks like two square headlights.
Yeah,
Suzuki.
I think I'm seeing two square headlights.
It is. I tried to find a better picture, but it.
I think of it having. I think instead of having a rectangle DOT headlight, it may actually have two square proprietary headlights.
I wish I could find here. Look, you can see. Let me see if I can find.
Yeah.
I don't know. They don't. Yeah. See right there. You can see.
It's definitely more. Yeah. It's definitely two square headlights.
Right.
Two particularly square headlights.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
But,
someone mentioned the CB 700 SC.
Yeah, so right, and all the Nighthawks too. So all that whole era of Nighthawks and the CB 700 SC, absolutely square headlight. And not an ugly bike, not hard to look at.
Hey, speaking of ugly bikes, did you all see this? Can anybody tell me what this is? And boom.
Oh yeah, the new Busa.
2021, they brought it back.
Yeah, so it still has four carburetors, right? No, I'm teasing because it's a Suzuki.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So, I mean, how long has it been?
Four square headlights.
It hasn't been gone for very long, has it?
No.
I mean, it's only been gone for a very short while.
The speedometer still goes way up to 180 miles an hour.
Yeah, which is silly because we know that bike goes at least 186 due to the gentleman's agreement. I would want to make that speedometer go to like 225 or two.
Check this out.
Yeah. 1450, not a big surprise there from the old 1340. Sure. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty interesting that they, we thought it was gone. We thought we were going to be dealing with all, the death of the Hayabusa, and yet it's back. It's like
it's
KLR.
you know.
Well, the roads are running out of douchebags.
I've never liked the line of the Hayabusa. I don't know why. It's not appealing to me. That it just looks like a whale. I just don't like the line.
It is very bulbous.
Yeah. And Guy Martin, our favorite Brit, is going to be doing a land speed record attempt on a lightly modified street legal Hayabusa.
I saw that.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool. It's just one of those things is like, so after what, 20 years, are we finally on generation 2 for the Hayabusa? Because I think that might be what it is.
3
Was the redesign really just like a cosmetic thing, or?
No, it's a complete thing. Like, hold on, let me see if I can find the video, and I'll just mute it.
Yeah, I mean the new one, the one that they just announced.
Right, the new one's different, but I thought there was the original, and then it sort of went through a half redesign.
Okay, so maybe this is generation 3.
Maybe, or maybe 2.5.
Yeah.
Show me that again. Generation 3.
Generation 3. Yeah, that's it. If you look, I get to punch you.
All right, here you go.
Yeah.
So this is Suzuki's video that they put out. I have it muted, so it shouldn't play any music. We should be cool. Mm-hmm. But you can see they bring all the generations together.
Oh, they do. All 3 of them.
So
that's definitely generation 1. I like this video game. Is this Lethal?
There's like a half.
I think we're playing Lethal Enforcers right now.
Shoot.
There's the new one going between them.
All right. That sure did look like Lethal Enforcers. Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Oh, yeah. Look at
They all look the same to me, man. I just don't.
Yeah, they do. They're not that different. That's for sure.
It is 3rd generation. So
yeah, 3rd generation. So, I mean, that's saying something. Those motorcycles, the 1st generation came out in what, 1951? I think.
Exactly.
Been around for a minute.
Is that Japanese symbol? What does that mean? The same? It's the Japanese writing for the same. The same old.
The kanji on the side, actually, I just translated as historical plates.
No carbs. It says carbureted.
Carbs. Yeah.
So isn't the word Hayabusa the name of a Japanese hawk that preys on blackbirds?
Yeah, that was the whole idea. Honda came out with their Super Blackbird, and they came out with the CBR-XX Super Blackbird. And so Suzuki, to be like, wow, being cool, they're going to call the bike the name of a peregrine falcon, which is the mortal enemy of blackbirds, and also extremely fast. Like, I think it's one of the fastest birds in the world. I don't know. I'm not much of a bird guy, but yeah. So
they won. Also, Suzuki won.
For video producers, you just saw without sound, the shake effect looks stupid.
It does, doesn't it?
It's just like the video is broken, and you're like, why is it doing that?
It is. You need to have both elements there in order for that shit to work.
Right.
Yeah. To give them their due, yeah, the Hayabusa, when they pulled it out of the line, it didn't surprise me they pulled it out of the line. It just surprised me they pulled it out of the line and they didn't stick anything else in there.
Right.
You got a Savage motor.
Just two Savage motors welded together at the crank.
Hey, Mr. Meatball.
I mean, isn't that part of the strategy, though? Like, you're going to pull it out of the lineup, let it rest for a while. Never be by a Hayabusa again.
Right.
You're not going to just bring it right out. They want to is there a strategy to letting it? Because they did the same thing with the KLR.
Absolutely.
Where they killed the KLR and then they let it idle for a year. When you thought there wouldn't be another KLR, ta-da, here's the KLR.
Make people talk about that shit.
So 2 things on the Twitch, guys.
Oscar, what you got there?
Hold on, Mr. Meatball. Yeah.
Gold. Sake.
Mr. Meatball says it's Japanese for ditto. And then Dig8493 says it's the fastest bird. And then Brian says, nope, it's a peregrine falcon. It translates to Enola Gay.
Yeah. It translates to Enola Gay. Too soon. I have ridden the first generation of Hayabusa, and I have ridden one of our customers that we service his bike now, I think he bought the very last of the second generation Hayabusas that was at our local Suzuki dealer. And I think the price he paid for it was obscene, the discount he got, because I'm pretty sure he bought a 1 or a 2-year-old bike off the floor. And brand new, like no miles, full warranty, but the bike was already like a 2017 or a 2018. And he has his bike serviced by us, and I've taken the thing out and honked it around, and it is a very good motorcycle. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying anything bad about a Hayabusa. It's the crazy coolest sport touring motorcycle you could ride, except it's hard to look at. Whereas the CBR Blackbird is fucking gorgeous from any angle. And the Hayabusa is one of those like, well, I guess that's what you have to do if you want to go 200 miles an hour is knock all the hard edges off of it, which is fine. You know, that's great. It serves a purpose.
Yeah, and it looks ergonomic. It looks aerodynamic. It looks its part for what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Not a looker, though.
No.
I wonder if Honda will bring out the Blackbird now.
Yeah, there you go. Honda will bring out a 1450cc Blackbird, you know, and just call it the Angry Blackbird or whatever.
Well, what kind of bird kills a peregrine falcon?
PCBs.
Terrible.
A bird kills a peregrine falcon. Bird shot.
Yeah.
What's the name for a mouse that just ate decon?
A mouse. Desiccant?
Yeah.
So
That's why they had to get rid of decon, because the mice were eating the decon, and then falcons and stuff were eating them, and it was killing them.
Oh shit!
dude, I saw a new mouse trap today by accident, looking online for something, and it's a roller log that you put on a 5-gallon barrel, and you put a snack at the end of the roller, like a bearing of a metal roller. So when the mouse goes on it, he just rolls off and goes into the barrel. And in parentheses, it says, you can be humane, or you can add 5 inches of water to the barrel.
You put antifreeze in it too, so they don't stink.
I've seen people post videos that those aren't very humane, because you end up with a bunch of mice in the bottom of this bucket and they just eat each other.
They eat each other.
Yeah. Well,
You put water. You got to put water in it.
Yeah,
you have to put water in it.
That is the most humane way. Yeah,
because I've gotten 30 chipmunks that way.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And Hoff, you can buy these 4-inch sharks to put in the water too. So when the mice fall in,
Or
that's really
you can
humane.
put some rods in there and electrocute the whole thing every once in a while.
Just rig it up to your garage door switch, so every time you open the garage door, it just zaps the bucket, and just see chipmunks jumping up in the air. I just think it's funny that people think it'd be really okay for chipmunks to like have their last minute on Earth be as a lumberjack. That was handy. Nice.
You could put some alum in the water, and then you could harvest the hides. Make yourself a jacket or a pair of gloves.
Little chipmunk gloves.
So there was a
One
dude
for each finger.
So there was a dude that ran a camera in his backyard because he wanted to watch the cute chipmunks, and he realized a horrible thing, that they are evil little fuckers, and they eat each other and they eat other animals, and they're kind of mean and they fuck everything up. Like they look cute, but they're like a warring tribe of little fucks.
They're not cute at all.
A warring tribe of little fucks.
Chipmunks are trying to eat Steve's house.
Oh, really? Tell you what, Mrs. Smith hates the hell out of chipmunks.
Does she?
Those
man.
fucking chipmunks cost me $1,900 to rebuild my porch because they undermined the entire porch. Then McElfresh and I were carrying a cooler across the porch, and it collapsed.
Oh shit!
I'm sure it had everything to do with the cooler and not both of you guys.
Oh no, it was a huge cooler. That cooler, what did that cooler weigh? Like 150 pounds. It was loaded to the top with beer. So
all of a sudden I got 6 inches shorter. Quick.
So I didn't know this, but I guess that Yamaha has done, I didn't know this at all, but I guess that Yamaha has done, at least for 2020, a VMAX Sport Heritage. I'm not fucking with you. It's a 2020 Yamaha Sport Heritage. Now, that tells you how long VMAX has been around if they can call the 2020 VMAX a Sport Heritage.
Do they put a square headlight on it?
And ape hanger bars and tassels. And a cow seat and Springer front end. But no, it's for real. And the interesting thing is, the image I'm seeing is that it is just black. I mean, it's black. The wheels are black. The tires are black. The headlight's black. The seat's black. There is the entire motor is black. In fact, you can't even see the normal distinctive snorkels on the side of a VMAX engine would tell you it's a VMAX because it has those giant snorkels on the side, and you can't even tell it's got snorkels on it. It's fucking black. It's just, and we talk about bringing back old bikes, but sure as shit, this is a 1680cc V4 at 17,999 doll hairs, and it's on Yamaha's website. I'm looking at it, and holy shit!
What is this thing?
It's the blackest VMAX you're ever going to see. It's the 2020 Yamaha VMAX. And it's on their website. It's currently on their
Website.
Yeah, on their Yamaha website. And I had thought that the VMAX was gone. I'm wrong. It's still there. And on the website, there's absolutely no shortage of kanji going next to it to remind you that it is just like the Hayabusa. It is Japanese. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's very, very interesting. If anybody wants to go check that out, it literally says "born with muscles." Yeah.
Congratulations.
That looks like a caricature of a motorcycle. It doesn't even look like a real motorcycle.
It bothers, like the whole area with the back tire and the rear fender bothers my eye so much.
Oh yeah,
because they should have at least put an implied load on this before they took the picture and put it on the website.
Right.
They should have sagged that back end out just a tiny bit.
Yeah, there's nothing good. Oh, here we go. Hold on.
Scroll down a little bit more.
Here, hold on.
Yeah. So it still has the ubiquitous. It still has the VMAX dashboard. You know what? This is actually. This
part's good. This is really
the same
good.
VMAX they've had for 30 years. They just painted it black.
Yeah.
Everything on that bike is very similar to the old one. So I guess it really is a quote heritage classic.
What do you think this is for? This X bracing right here.
So this has been around for a while now. Yeah, it does go up to the frame hanger. So I don't know if it's because if you look, there is no down tube on the front of this frame.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah. So that's there. So that's there to hang on to things. But yeah, how crazy is that? So
it definitely looks like it's good for 2-up touring.
Oh yeah, as usual, VMAXs have nothing but the best accommodations. Right. And if you look, the rear passenger peg
is way up here.
is located directly in the butthole of your passenger.
So the knee. Let me see. So if your butt's here and your knee goes here.
Yes.
Your knees are in the shoulders of your driver, and then
exactly.
Down. Yeah.
Yeah. That's about right. Yeah. There's very few places that are worse in the world than on the back of a VMAX. So yeah.
That's pretty much like a foot long of seat for the passenger, right?
Yeah. Well, that's about 7 inches.
Yep.
I mean, keep in mind that that's a 17-inch rear wheel, so that seat is tiny.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a real tiny seat.
There's a lot of weird proportions here. Like the way the wheels just goes with this gap. There's a gap up here. There's a gap. It's just a lot of weirdness going on.
And what's hilarious is if you do look at an old VMAX, like a proper old VMAX, the proper old VMAX, it was different. It's not the same motorcycle as this, not by a long shot. The proper old VMAX has a full frame. It's got a full tubular frame. The proper old VMAX has a big back seat, like a legit back seat you could put a human on. The rear peg on an old VMAX is a place where a human being could put their feet. There's a lot of things when you look at an old VMAX that are different than this bike. And interestingly enough, the old VMAX looks better. So to me, at least. But again, what the fuck do I know? Nobody would ever ask me about how to design a bike. But if I look at a picture of an old VMAX, it looks a hell of a lot more attractive than this new thing. So
I'd like to just go on record
comment that it took 3 people to take an engine out of a VMAX.
I mean, this was.
I'd like to just go on record to say, if I was designing a motorcycle, I would consult you.
Yeah. To me, the old screaming yellow Zonker VMAX.
That's a good
if I had a VMAX in my garage, it would have to be yellow.
Yep.
Just one of those
That's what
things.
Bruce has. It doesn't have second gear.
Hey, A-Train 6911 says it looks like a backwards Vespa.
It actually kind of does look like a backwards Vespa. It does have bad. I mean, it's just one of those things. It's the Heritage, so it's the VMAX Heritage Classic Edition.
Yeah.
So there you go. It doesn't get any more hopeless than that.
Right.
So that means
If
that
it was a Yamaha, it'd be a night train.
Well, I was going to say next year Kawasaki is going to have to come out with the ZL 1500 Eliminator. It'll be whatever their biggest across the rails 4-cylinder is, stuffed into a street rod frame. And that means the Super Magna will undoubtedly be coming back as well.
Well, that's a good question. So, what do you think each brand? What is the next vintage bike they're going to redo? You know what I mean? Like,
as much as I hate to say it, I think we have to acknowledge the fact that the late 80s and the early 90s are becoming cool again.
yeah.
So, Oscar's jumpsuit and all this other shit, it's all coming around. And, we're going to have a 1988 throwback Honda Hurricane,
Oh, I hope so.
in red and white,
All right, so you mentioning that, so we got the 80s when they started putting, 80s and 90s, a lot of plastic. So that was the shift on the 70s stuff and earlier. So for now, what do you think is like the key or like the main bike that you would say this is the 2020 going forward, like quintessential bike that shows the new style that's like forward on the other brands?
Do you mean what is the iconic bike of the 2020s?
Or you're right.
It's going to be the,
What's
it's
the
gonna
more
be the
futuristic
Zero.
bike you've seen at this point that it's on the market?
Shit, I
to
mean,
buy?
The live wire.
Yeah,
You're going to look back. You're going to look back in 10 or 15 years, and you're going to say the iconic bike of the early 2020s was the first electrics, because that changed everything.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I think is going to happen. Mm-hmm. And I mean, the lines might.
The live wire changed everything.
Well, I mean, the live wire was basically the concept of the live wire changed everything, but Harley couldn't get their shit together. I mean, they could have really done something. They had the resources at the time to be a Zero. I mean, to have the market of the Zero, but they didn't use the resources in the correct way because they wanted to seem like they were progressive in a regressive way.
Dude,
And you can't do that.
They gave Charlie and Ewan 2 bikes that don't exist to be on a TV show that has 12 episodes or 10 episodes that every dude that was like thinking about adventure bikes was like, I want one of those.
Yep.
And he looks it up and it's not available. How dumb do you have to be? I mean, come on, man.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's they had the chance, but they got that in. So these guys are watching that show. What are they going to do? They're going to look up the live wire. And what's going to happen? Zero's got advertising probably right on the same page as the live wire. Like you look up a live wire, Zero's going to come up, right? So then they're going to say, well, I can't get a live wire. Let's go down to the next thing.
Hey, the chat has a great one. So far for 2020, I agree with this. Super 10 Race 700. Definitely defining bike of 2020.
And that's, when I think back, the 1998, 2018. And so what just comes to my brain is adventure bikes. Like I think adventure bikes are so identifiable. Somebody contacted my shop and they want to trade me a very particular Honda motorcycle for 2 used 250cc scooters. Now, can we guess what bike this guy wants to trade one of this bike for 2 highway legal, freeway legal scooters?
BMW 1100 or 1200 GS.
I'm going to give you a clue. It's a Honda.
Oh, Honda. Uh-huh.
And it's a Honda Fury. So this dude wants to trade us a Honda Fury 1300, whatever it is. It's a fake Jesse James bike. I mean, it's a Honda Jesse James bike.
They should have called it the Furry.
It is the Furry. I mean, if it was in my world, if it was in my shop, we would only ever call it the Furry, for fuck's sake. It is one of the most pathetic things. It's where Honda, a major company, right?
Wow.
And by the way, this gray one is the best looking one you can get. If you see this bike in red, it's an embarrassment. It's really, really bad. This bike, this is straight. This is factory. This is not a custom bike. This is exactly the way it comes from the factory. But this is Honda essentially copying West Coast Choppers and copying Jesse James and copying Sucker Punch Sally, etc.
It looks like it's missing parts.
It does.
It is. And here's the crazy thing.
It's clean. It's sanitized.
It is sanitized. This is a liquid.
Everything is smooth and they have all these lines and stuff. Then the exhaust is like, fuck you.
It's it's EPA regulated.
Well, what's that bundle of wires right under the tank? Like, what is that?
Yeah.
It's the clutch cable.
Yeah.
So
It's for the carb.
yeah, it's the clutch cable.
Well, why couldn't they hide it? They made so much effort to have all these clean, open spaces.
They were like, this would be way too hard to bring the frame up. Just cut the fucker off right there. That's perfect.
Exactly.
Just cut it.
Cut the frame right off. What is going to drive Nick crazy is this motorcycle went to so much effort to have that negative space between the cylinder head on the front cylinder and the triple, right? They wanted that space to be there. That space was so important. Do you know what is under that thing that looks like a valve cover?
No.
The hoses for the liquid cooling system. So that cover is not a giant piece of billet that is the valve cover or the rocker box cover if it were a push rod motor.
So that ends down here, huh?
That entire thing that you're on right now comes off, and what you will find is the liquid cooled head and the hosing that supplies liquid to the liquid cooled head.
I'm surprised they didn't put a bunch of holes in the down tube, you know?
Do you look at the front there where you're scrolling, where your mouse just was?
Yeah.
You'll see that there's a water tube going into the front of that head. So go down,
Right here,
there you go, right there. If you look in close on that, you're going to see that's plumbing. And that is actual plumbing that gets liquid into the front of that motor. So they did so much work on this bike to make it look like a custom chopper.
Oh,
I think that back of that frame, Steve, that back of that frame is gusseted. So they must have had an issue with the weakness in that part of the frame. Mm-hmm. So they had to put that little piece in and gusset that in order to re-support the frame.
You're exactly right.
And look,
So
there's your tube right here too. So there's your water and there's your water.
There's your water, goes into and goes out of.
Where's the radiator?
It's right there in the front.
Oh, right here?
Yep.
Oh,
It's between the frame rails. So, and the fan's back in there too.
Okay.
So that to me is the example of, like, if you want to know when Jesse James jumped the shark or when Honda jumped the shark for Jesse James, like, that's it. At that point, that motorcycle stopped being cool. Once that motorcycle became available from Honda, everybody that had the Jesse James or Sucker Punch Sally or Orange County Choppers version of that bike in their garage just saw the value of their item drop precipitously.
Yep.
So that's the uncoolest motorcycle in the world. The uncoolest motorcycle in the world is when the custom bike finally gets copied by the mainstream shit.
Yep.
And that's when you all the cool went away. All of those bikes, all those what do they call those? Pro street bikes. Pro street bikes like that are worth nothing. So very little, in fact, that somebody's trying to trade me one of those for two old, like 12-year-old 250cc automatic transmission plastic scooters. And I almost want to take them up on the deal just because it's hilarious how devalued that is. And if you look on Cycle Trader, that motorcycle is selling, those bikes right now. There's about 20 of them on Cycle Trader right now, and they're selling between $4,500 and $6,200.
Wow.
Which represent, and none of them have any miles on them. And that represents a dramatic loss over what the people invested on them when they bought them. So
True.
That's iconic of a time frame too. I think that's a 2003 maybe. So yeah.
But to Steve's point, do you think that like that design that we just watched, do you think that's kind of driven by the new electrics that look clean, that obviously you don't have a motor, but that, do you think that's the new trend of the designs of just making them just not as bulky and less plastic?
I think that's absolutely true. Manufacturers are going out of their way right now to hide any wiring and hide any plumbing whatsoever, so that you're like, it's like a mystery. Well, there's a motor. I recognize the motor, but how do things get in and out of the motor? A lot of companies go to a lot of effort to hide all that. So that's not a new thing. Honda was plumbing coolant through the frame in the early 80s.
Oh, that turned out.
I'll tell you a little story.
Unkie Phil.
Yeah, so this is great. So 1,000 years ago, I saw a Honda 1987 V40 2.5 Magna. So this would have been the VF700 Custom, aka Super Magna. We all know the bike. And so I had gone to look at the bike because at the time I was just absolutely queer for them, right? And had to have one. Couldn't possibly live my life without it. And off I fucked to go buy this bike, and the price was cheap. So I went out and looked at it. And you know those foot pegs that fold down, those cruiser pegs, the freeway pegs?
Carry on.
We've all seen them. There's two kinds. There's a kind that has a metal strap that goes around the frame and has a bolt going through it, right? We've all seen those. And then, you put that on your frame and you got these foldy downy foot pegs. So when you're on the freeway, you can put your feet up in a more comfortable riding position. So to be cooler, this person had taken that and said, no, that strap part looks stupid. I don't want that strap part on there. I want to put the bolt that holds the peg on straight through the frame.
Oh my God.
So this guy,
what a fucking idiot.
So this guy, he drilled a 3/8 inch hole right through his frame.
Oh, gee.
Right where you'd want those foot pegs to be.
Just a little bit.
Now, the problem is the right down tube on a Honda V45 or V40 2.5 Magna holds water.
Or did.
Yeah. The coolant goes right through the frame. And so when he drilled a hole in there, I'm sure he was fucking mystified why all this coolant came out of his bike when he drilled a hole in what he thought was full of air. Not only did he compromise the strength of the frame by drilling a hole through it, but he also let all the coolant escape. So he just soldiered on, and he put a nice rubber gasket on there, and he put a rubber gasket on there, and he put a rubber gasket on the backside. He ran the bolt through it, and he tightened that son of a bitch down. And when I went to look at the bike, I was like, that's kind of... Dude, did you put a bolt through your frame where your coolant is? And did you put rubber washers on there to keep it from leaking? And he goes, I didn't do that.
Yeah. Of course not, dude.
I can only imagine that if when he did it, all the coolant didn't come out of the bike, if that didn't happen, that when he put the bolt in and took it out for the first ride, all the coolant came out of the bike. And I was like, so did you find that out before or after you warped the head? Because it's not like there's a heat gauge on a Honda Magna. There's not. There's just an idiot light that tells you've blown up your motor. Right. So, yeah. So I know for sure. I was like, dude, that is fucked up. And he's like, well, what do you mean? I was like, do you know what I would have to do to fix that? Like literally to fix it. Yeah. What would I have to do? And he's like, well, you can just put a hose clamp around it. No, you can't just put a hose clamp around it, dude.
Well, you'd have to cut 2 lengths of metal and then weld, re-weld the whole thing in.
Of course.
Above and below that.
Of course.
It's a piece of inner tube and a hose clamp. You're fine.
Right.
You'll hold it right in there.
You'd have to push it out in the middle of Lorraine Road.
Yeah. So the first time you tried to ride that bike to Columbus or something, that would just let go and just shit would go everywhere.
But that was before flex tape, so that might be an option.
Yep. Flex seal. All right.
That's right.
You got the dude sealing the bottom of the boat, right?
Yeah. Slap some of that stuff on there.
Yeah.
Just
That's a lot of damage.
400 turns of electrical tape. You'll be fine.
Seal.
I always, to be honest with you, I know it never works that well, but I wish they could really get that electrical tape that you can then shrink to work. Yeah. Like, on the shit that where you can't really take a thing apart. Because it kind of works, but it never really works as good as heat shrink tape,
I actually got a roll of this 3M. It's self-adhering, self-healing silicone tape. So it's an electrical tape. And you peel it off both sides, and when you wrap it around something, as soon as it touches itself, it's permanently attached. It becomes one with itself. So it's kind of like
seal,
a shrink.
On Friday nights when my wife falls asleep, I become one with myself pretty much every week too.
Hey, you want to hear a joke?
Always.
Of course.
So a woman has twins, but she has to give them up for adoption. So one of them goes to a family in Egypt and is named Amal. The other goes to a family in Spain and is named Juan. Years later, Juan sends a picture of himself to his mother. And upon receiving the picture, she tearfully tells her husband that she also wishes she had a picture of Amal. Her husband laughs and says, "But they're twins. If you've seen one, you've seen them all."
At least.
Let me up the ante.
Oh, that's fantastic.
No, let's enjoy the laughter.
So you should have said Juan.
So out in Ireland, the Edge and Bono walk into a bar, and the bartender says, "Oh no, not you two again."
Who's the Edge?
Oh my God.
Where's that wah wah wah?
Yeah, I did look it up, and there's a couple of different emergency self-fusing tapes out there. I know I have some in my to-go bag that I picked up over the years that are motorcycle industry specific, but it looks like rescue tape is pretty much the words you want to use if you're going to search on the internets. And there's a whole lot of companies marketing rescue tape, but I think, like John says, go with 3M. Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Or Gorilla. Gorilla makes good tape materials.
Yeah.
I mean, if you stick this tape back to itself, there's no pulling it apart. It is like that's it. I mean, you might be able to tear it or whatever, and it's like thick, spongy, gray silicone. And as soon as it touches itself, it's done.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, we have something like that for pipes. You wrap it, like if you have a hole in a pipe, you can just wrap it around. And I think the water activates it. It's like a water activated epoxy.
Yep.
And it turns into like steel.
Yep. Yeah. There's nothing you can do once that stuff's hooked up. And I cannot tell you the brand name of the stuff that I have in my motorcycle kit. It's green. I know that. I know the manufacturer made it green to be specifically, that thing. But it is emergency rescue tape. And yeah, when you talk about there's definitely like an AB epoxy component to it that once it's on, it's not coming off. You're good to go. And it will apparently do any degree of temperature and any amount of pressure. It doesn't care. So that's cool. So
it has good shear characteristics so that if you have a broken frame, it won't shear.
Right.
It's amazing because some of these epoxies, the stuff I use with my boats, it's 18,000 PSI. when you mix it together, the epoxy itself is 18,000 psi. So if you add fiberglass to it or tape or whatever, and you put the epoxy around it, you have an 18,000 psi weld, basically.
Yeah.
Is there something in between? I mean, if you use electrical tape, it lasts for a little while and then it just goes to shit.
Yeah, it does.
Then if you use epoxies, you're never going to get it out.
You're done forever. Yeah.
Some of those cases you cannot use like a shrink tube that you can kind of do that. But is there anything in between you can kind of wrap around that doesn't fuck up in just over a year and just...
I hate to say it, but at the shop, when I'm in a situation where I need the electrical insulation of electrical tape, but I also need wear abrasion, like I need wear protection. So I know that something that I'm going to put electrical tape around because I have to, because it's a closed access. I can't take it apart, put shrink wrap on it, and put it back together again. So what I generally do is I generally use 3M branded electrical tape, right? And I'll use that and I'll wrap it, but then I'll also go over it with a cloth tape, like a Gorilla tape, like something that's, a duct tape or something like that. And I'll use that just for abrasion resistance because electrical tape really doesn't have great abrasion resistant properties. Yeah. Nick, what do you use? What's your deal? Because you do so many electrical projects. You've got to have something that's up your sleeve that you use to shield your repairs, like when you have
for the most part, is just, I mean, usually we don't use electrical tape. Either we redo the whole thing or use the duct or the spiral stuff, but it's just, there's no good solution for bundling stuff or fixing stuff that it's long lasting.
I can tell you this. I bought a whole tube of Harbor Freight electrical tape. And I've been using it for dumb shit. Yeah. And it's been in my garage. And now that it's been like 7 degrees, I went out there and I dropped it and one shattered.
It broke.
And I'm like, wow, this tape really sucks.
When you're doing like with our stuff, like when you're doing higher voltage stuff, we wrap with there's a rubber tape. 3M makes like a rubber tape that you wrap around the high voltage connection.
Yeah.
And then it kind of like bonds to itself and it forms like just a rubber blob around basically it's real stretchy. So you stretch it out and as you wrap it around, it like binds to itself. And then once you put that around,
that sounds like what I had.
Yeah. But then on the outside of that, then you use standard electrical tape for abrasion resistance. But that rubber tape is what really keeps the electrons in and the death out. So.
Yeah, I was wondering if maybe gaffer's tape for the outer layer would be good.
Yeah, but gaffer's tape.
I think a hybrid system is sort of what you need. You need the electrical tape, and then you need a protective coating on the outside.
All right.
Okay.
And then some Flex Seal.
I'm going to tell you guys how you can change your life for 25 cents.
Tell us, Uncle Phil.
And it's not stealing a cart from Aldi.
Stick a quarter up your ass.
It is. Okay, Steve, type in the following letters.
Okay, stand by. Hold on. Wait.
W-A-G-O.
W-A-G-O. Wago.
I'm going to tell you guys, this is it. I've been turned on to these things a few years ago.
Wait, hold on. There's a bunch of Wagos. What is there's like a technical company called Wago.
That's right. And it's called a Wago wire nut.
Stand by.
And so you guys have all seen those little wire nuts that bad electricians put on things, right?
Oh,
right. So Wago, W-A-G-O, this company makes these things called these Wago connectors. And they're available in every shape and size, right? There you go. And these are the old school, actually. These are the old Wagos. There's a modern one that's clear. So this is the old school. This is the ones that I don't use anymore. But these Wago connectors, the idea is that you literally just take the insulation off of the thing, slide it in, and fold the bar down. And what's nice is if you've ever worked with any of the orange or yellow or blue or red wire nuts, they make a fucking mess, right? And we've all been there, and we all know what that's like. And you can pull them apart pretty easily, and they also strip out. Well, these Wagos, these things kick much ass. And so the reason these ones are cheap that Steve's showing you is because this is the old school style. The old school style is made of this gray material and you can't see through it. The new Wagos are clear. So
there you go.
Look at the clear ones.
Come on, Steve, get the clear ones up there.
Right. Here's the clear ones. And this is why you want to use the clear ones. Because with the clear ones, you can actually see that you've put the wire in far enough. And then when you latch the thing on, there's no doubt that you're making good connectors, making good connections. This is the absolute best thing next to a soldered splice. When you don't have time to do a soldered splice, when you're doing troubleshooting, when you're adding something into a power loom, these sons of bitches are amazing. First of all, there's zero chance of it arcing out to something else. Just strip a little bit off the end of the wire, jam that son of a bitch in there, and fold the latch down. And no solder. You can do it with one freaking hand. So when was the last time you ever did a wiring fix, splice two wires together with one hand? And the new ones are low profile, 29 cents a piece. If you've got these in your toolbox, even if you're just going to use them for diagnostic purposes to test something out, and then you're going to go back and solder it correctly and shrink wrap it correctly later, you can, but these are good enough. You don't need to go back and solder that shit.
Are they reusable?
Absolutely.
Nice.
Yeah.
This
We have something similar where in some of the products that we have that you can just punch in and then it clips over and over again. And they're really solid. Those are legit.
I love these things.
Yeah.
These guys, I bought a couple of hundred of these a few years ago, and you can buy them in 2-channel, 3-channel, 4-channel, various different girths and widths. But like, even if you just get the ones that are like AWG, like I said, this one goes from 14 to 28. So that's just about like every bit of wire on the bike, right? So that one size will service a lot of different types of wire at the same time. And it's so much cleaner than using wire nuts and any other kind of dopey shit. But I really, really recommend these. These things are kick-ass. And what it showed you is you can test. You can stick a test probe in there. So if you're doing a bunch of wiring in a bike, you don't need to undo your connection to test it. You don't need to violate your insulation on your wire to test it. You can literally, there's enough room in there to stick a probe in and do your termination testing and your continuity testing. So get these damn things. They are cheap and they will save you a lot of heartache. Bad connections will have you ripping your fucking hair out. So Wago, W-A-G-O. And don't buy the cheap imitation stuff. Buy like the real ones because it's 29 cents, dude. You can swing that.
Yeah, you get 100.
It's kind of like the terminals on the back of a speaker.
Yeah, it is.
Pop them open.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that was cool.
And that thing, those Wagos are just the fucking time saver. And I mean, I don't know, some of you guys don't work hourly, but you know, when you work hourly, if you're sitting there and you're like, oh, I'm gonna keep twisting these wires together. Well, you know, every time you do that, you got to cut it off and twist them together again and cut it off and twist them together again. Pretty soon you end up with no wire. With these things, it's on and you can take it off 50 times if you want.
Perfect example. So on my blue 850, I'm working on trying to get the speedometer and thing working. So I went to Lowbrow Customs and I bought 2 clocks that are cable driven and they work the right ratio and everything for the bike. But then I was like, well, I still want to have, you know, my like high beam, low beam, turn signals and all that shit. Sure. When I got the bike originally and I was doing it, I took this other one off and I clipped the wires right at the rubber nubs.
Yep.
I'm an idiot. And so when I got these things, I'm like, oh shit, I need those back so I can do it. So then I had to play the game of like cutting into the rubber and then soldering a thing into like a thing in the nub. Oh my God, it sucked. I spent 2 weeks because I do one wire and then I get so frustrated I just leave it and I come back later and do another one. So yeah, that's terrible, man.
Well, the other thing that's good about the Wago stuff is it's like Lego, so you can add in. So it's really cool. Like you can buy a Wago that's like 6 terminals wide. So you can go into it with one positive terminal and then go pop, 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 and add a bunch of different accessories to it. And then have one feed powering 6 things as opposed to having 6 things all going into one positive terminal. So it gets rid of the spaghetti factor real good, you know?
Oh, actually, one of the guys in the chat, the Atrian, mentioned, and I didn't know they even existed. It's a 3M 1194 copper tape.
Nice. Really?
The only problem with that kind of stuff is that you can tape it, it'll do continuity, but the current that's capable of withstanding that's the sketchy part. I mean,
I agree.
It'll get you up and running, but it's not going to last. But it's an option. I actually didn't even know it existed. So
because I went through a big period of my life. In the early 90s, I was famous for having, from Radio Shack, they used to have what's called match solder. And match solder were these little tiny squares, little tiny rectangles. And they were like shorter than your pinky nail. And you would basically take two wires, join them together, wrap the match solder around it, and then literally take a match or a lighter underneath it, and it would melt this really soft solder into the joint between the two. And you'd buy a bag of these things, and they literally looked like confetti, which was just silver confetti in there. But that was match solder. And in the 80s and 90s, I thought this was the coolest shit in the world, because who needs a soldering iron when you're on the side of the road in the rain? But we all smoked, so we had a lighter, right? And so you could just wrap this shit around there and hit it with the lighter, and you're good to go. No, that shit is like, it has a life expectancy. So once you did a match solder repair, you had to remember to go back in there and fix it proper with a real soldering iron and get some heat in there and get that stuff to move around, because the match solder was basically just a Band-Aid going around it. So
life expectancy of 1 mile down the road.
Yeah. Well, we've seen some hinky shit. Like, I've fixed wires on my points with cigarette paper, cigarette wrappers and shit.
That's what Big Ben just said on the chat. He was just like, a cigarette foil will get you through and back home, man.
Yes, it will. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you'd be amazed. A pack of cigarettes can adjust your points timing, can satisfy any blown fuse in an old motorcycle. Just take the old glass fuse out, wrap it in cigarette foil, and put it back in again. Cigarette foil's equal to about 8 amps on a fuse. Yeah.
I always carry a 22 round to put it in if I blow a fuse, I can just, one of those glass fuses, just put a 22 round in there. Works every time.
John, that's how you know that you're a hard motherfucker.
I mean, it'll let you know if it fucks up there, right? I mean, if you're going over the current, it's just like...
Yeah, when it overheats, you'll know it.
What's the amp rating on a 22 cartridge before you shoot yourself in the dick?
I think
that's a good question.
Yeah, wouldn't
you might have to do some testing on your bike?
No,
I think it would actually be a matter of convenience if, just like if when a fuse blew, there was an audible signature that let you know that you blew a fuse.
So what you're saying is
there's all kinds of better fuses these days. So especially if you're talking blade fuses, they have blade fuses that actually have an LED built into them. And they also have resettable breaker blade fuses. So like your automotive style thing, it has a little thing that pops out and you can just reset it.
I use those for diagnostic. I got them in my toolbox. I've got an 8 amp and I've got a 30 amp. And they're blade fuse size, so I can stick them in there when I'm sick of... Look, I'm troubleshooting. I am probably going to blow a few fuses. So they could either spend the money and keep replacing the fuses that I'm blowing, or I could stick a breaker fuse in there and stick a breaker fuse in and blow that sumbitch 15 times. Who cares? Just reset it. Now, that might not be what you want to have on your bike for on the road purposes, but my KLR did. I had breaker fuses in my KLR. Why not?
So is it me, or is everybody starting to go out of sync here? Phil is really, really laggy. Like his voice, like he'll talk and then all of a sudden his mouth is moving. McElfresh is not out of sync. And I don't know about the rest because nobody else is talking.
It's fine from here.
Yeah, I'm all right.
You might have some latency on your end. I know my computer every once in a while, my internet connection gets a little sketchy, and then it sounds weird, and everything gets off, and then it catches back up.
Don't forget, Hoff is in his bunker with the tinfoil and the 13 VPNs and all the other shit going on. So I'm sure.
And the Hoppy's number 9 behind him. And what was that? Did you put a box of shells behind you?
No, it's.
What the hell is that?
Okay. All right. It's an old BMW.
the one we talked about last week. It was sitting here. I don't know. It fell out of the sky. But it's an R32.
Is it a model? Is it a toy? What is it?
Yeah, it's a little. It's actually a pretty good model. If I can get it out of the box.
Don't point that thing at me.
You're gonna end up cat-assed.
That's my new motorcycle.
Oh yeah.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's super cool.
Yeah.
Damn, that's nice.
But McElfresh got me on his text, on the group text on his birthday.
I'll race you, Steve.
I think you have 2 more cylinders and about 50% more horsepower.
Yeah.
But I liked his force perspective picture that he took and sent. For 2 seconds, I was like, "Holy shit! Congratulations, man!" And then you were you said something like, I forgot what you said, but it was like, "Yeah."
You know what, John? When John posted that picture up of that toy, suggestively placed in the foreground of his own garage. At first, I thought he was photoshopping it, and I was like, no, he didn't Photoshop it, but he also didn't buy a $100,000 motorcycle. I did go online and I did look to see Indian 4s completed auctions, like bikes that sold. And there hasn't been one of those that sold for less than $50,000 in 15 years.
But I, for 1 second, I was like, okay, it's his 50th birthday, which congratulations, John. Happy birthday. Thank you. 50 for John. And I was like, he did just sell a house. I'm like, did he do that? I was like, wow, man, John's like balling right now, man.
Do you guys know our friend
Cleveland Rich?
Cleveland.
You guys know our friend Emma from the Misfits?
Yes.
So Emma has decided to venture out on her own as a for-hire motorcycle mechanic.
Why don't you move it to Cleveland?
That's what I said, dude. Bring her in. Pay her whatever the fuck she needs. And the interesting thing with Emma is I would pay her whatever money she needed to work here, but then I would also charge people money to sit and watch her work here, right? So for real. But so she's starting her own shop, and I have all these perfect custom restorations. So this is a great thing. The first bike she's doing is a Black Shadow.
Wow.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. That's cool. How cool is that? That, like, what kind of bikes is she going to work on? Well, she's starting with a Black Shadow. So that's baller. That's hardcore right there. So if you're in the Santa Cruz, Monterey area, take your bike to Emma. She's starting her own gig, man, and I couldn't be happier for send her the work. And I'm looking forward, like, trying to figure out shit I could bring that's even up to that standard, because I don't have any bikes in my collection are that cool,
Your vintage bike needs an Emma now.
No, Chris's Janus.
There we go. There we go.
You could take his Janus in for an Emina?
It took 65 minutes for the first Janus joke.
There'll never be enough Janus jokes.
Never get old either.
The guy, that's what Sev said at his shop. So his shop in Raleigh, he was saying, he's like, he goes, yeah, as soon as we got that bike in, we just instantly, the Janus joke started happening. So Chris, did you try to buy?
I did. Yeah, I called down there on Friday. So we talked about it Thursday night. I called down on Friday and I said, I talked to a guy by the name of Mark.
Yeah.
And he says, no, it's sold. I said,
oh, shit.
You're shitting me. I said, we were just talking about it on the podcast last night. And he says,
your Janus is shitting me.
So I said, tell me about the bike. And he said, it's build number 002. And I said, so how'd you guys get it? And he said that the owner of the bike was a roommate of one of the owners and bought it back in 2015. And I said, I was a little surprised. It's a 5-year-old bike and it's got 237 miles on it. I said, I put 200 $50 on mine just driving it back from Indiana. I said,
Well, you know,
and then I said, he had it down for $31.50.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? I think you shorted yourself by at least $1,000. I bet you could have gotten, $4,000 at least. He said, yeah, you price it at $5,000 and it sits on your floor for 2 years, or you price it at $31.50 and it disappears the next day. And I said, I get it. So then I told him that he was going to be on podcast 313. So he says, oh, no shit. So I tuned him in, and he's on Patreon. So he's going to send you $600 a week.
Perfect.
What's nice is it's no surprise that you'd want a younger, less used Janus than the one you had.
That was an older one.
Yeah, it's an older one.
Oh, it's an older, less used Janus.
It's a little more opened up, a little
tighter. No, it's older, but it's less used, so it's tighter. It's not leaking fluids or anything anymore.
Okay.
So I do want to call out, just because it is winter time. And for a lot of us here in the Great White North, that means we spend more time watching our televisions, less time out in the garage wrenching on stuff. So thanks to Sleepy, I do want to tell everyone, we told people years ago, we told people to start watching AVE, because AVE is magic and you should all watch AVE. He's helped me live a better life. But the other one that I must insist that you watch is Vice Grip Garage.
Oh yeah. He's good.
You will notice some of us making certain gestures with the sparkulators.
Yeah. Lightning makers.
So Dr. Waters pointed out, she said, do you think that there's a chance that he does the malapropisms thing intentionally, kind of like, because AVE certainly does that. Yeah. Develops his own language, his own words for things, euphemisms. And we did notice that Vice Grip Garage does the same thing. It's a very interesting take on, not every word is the best word, but sometimes anything can be a hammer. And I think that's really what it comes down to. And I got to say, I love that. And it is fun to watch these particular people take on the projects. As we get deeper and deeper into posting more of our garbage on the internet, there is a certain type of pervert that's going to watch this. And again, anybody else wandered into this room right now, they'd look around and they'd probably fuck off.
Yep.
But there are certain...
They should.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? And you have your language that we've all adopted. I'm sure it came from you. Like, I never said fuck your hat until I met you.
Right. Well,
you know what I mean? Like...
There are a number of things that do exist in a community that circle back and circle back and circle back.
Stop being so Camaro.
Oh,
nobody
man
knows what that means except for the people that are down, right?
What about squatouche?
Yeah,
that's another one. I use that shit all the time. I trot squatouche out constantly. Yeah,
he puts that shit on everything.
I put that shit on. It's so true.
Choochin.
Hey, you want to hear a joke?
Always.
Sure. Oh, that was enthusiastic. So a student wanted to
get Sleepy's joke.
So
what? You didn't get my joke. Come on.
So a student wanted to earn some extra money and decided to hire himself out as a handyman. And he started canvassing a wealthy neighborhood, and he went to the front door of the first house, and they asked the owner if he had any jobs for him to do. And the owner said, well, you can paint my porch. How much will you charge? And the student says, how about $50? So the man agreed and told him that there's paint and ladders in the garage. Everything he'd need is right there in the garage. So the man's wife inside the house heard the conversation and said to her husband, does he realize that the porch goes all the way around the house? And he said, well, he should. He was standing right on the porch. A short time later, the student comes back to the door to collect his money. And the guy says, you're finished already? The student says, yeah. I had some paint left over, so I gave it 2 coats. Impressed, the man reached in his pocket, gave him the $50, and the student says, and by the way, that's not a Porsche, it's a Ferrari.
You seen one, you seen them all.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's fantastic.
That's pretty good.
oh.
That's fantastic, dude. I like that. That was great.
There we go.
Germans don't have any silent letters.
Listeners.
Hey, Phil.
Germans don't use silent letters in their language, so.
So when you were talking about like the breaker stuff for when you're trying to debug, I've seen, not for bikes, but for other applications for trying to debug when you have a short, using a thermal camera adapter for your phone, because you have the camera already there. Because obviously buying a camera dedicated thermal thing, it's not cheap.
Yes.
Have you tried it before?
Yes. So FLIR, there's 4 words: forward-looking infrared. FLIR has also become a brand name. I think, Steve, don't you have a FLIR camera?
I do. I have one. Seek makes them too.
Yeah.
They're
So
cheaper.
yeah. So if you have access to a FLIR, not the baseball cards, FLIR camera, I'm going to tell you, any problem in your motorcycle will be evidenced by heat and smell. So if you don't have FLIR, use this. And generally speaking, if you've got something electrical on your bike that isn't happening anymore, it's fucked, right? And when it's fucked, then you go back in and you let everything cool down, and you go back in and you put a new fuse in there. So you put a new fuse in there, and then you start it up, and it breaks again, and the fuse pops. Then put your nose all over the bike. So grab things with your hands and smell things with your nose. And if you do that, you'll figure out the source of the heat. And the heat is always the fucking problem. Period. Whether it's
I think Cinch is having a fucking problem.
I think it's melting down over there.
That was more than I anticipated.
The heat is the biggest symptom of the problem.
Yeah, I mean, whether it's a bearing or a short circuit or a coolant issue or whatever, heat is.
Or it's a Super Hawk that is burning up on the side of the road.
Yeah, it caused some heat. Let me tell you.
Yeah, that's it. What doesn't matter what it is usually heat will be the evidence of the problem. You know, and that's the reason most of the magic smoke in all the electronic components. The reason the magic smoke gets out is because there was enough heat to penetrate the casing, and then all the magic smoke goes out and it's fucked. Yeah. So then you got to.
I've used that thermal camera for everything. It's great. I mean, you use it for electrical panels. I mean, that's basically, it works well. The only thing I don't like about it is that the pixel density is very low. I mean, it's like 140 by 80 or something, but it's an overlay. You have a camera with a thermal overlay.
Yep.
So, I mean, it works okay, but it's hard to see UFOs because that's what I'm really looking for.
I bought one that clips onto the back of my iPhone through a lightning jack, and it was like $120, and it ain't awesome. You're not going to be able to spot ghosts or anything, but what you will do is if you hang on to it and you look at, the junction box to your bike, you'll see where all the fucking heat is. Like, you'll see the problem. And it's not joking around. It's exactly. Most of the problems with motorcycles will tell you where they are if you take a time, like Oscar says, and use forward-looking infrared, looking at that heat. That heat will tell you a hell of a lot. So that's kick ass.
I want one on my helmet though. I mean, I really, really would like to have those overlays in my glasses or something at night to see a deer.
Yeah,
you can easily see a deer at the side of the road.
Cadillac put it into their cars. I mean, they've got it on the dashboard of the car that it's looking forward at all times. So, that's cool. And if you don't have that for your camera or for your phone, find somebody that has a brand new Cadillac and have them bring it over to your garage and aim it at your motorcycle.
Yeah. I mean, but it's not cheap. I mean, those FLIR for an iPhone, it's just like $300. So it's not cheap.
The shitty one I got off of the Amazonian children.
Yeah.
That one I got was, like I said, it was like $120 or something like that. And its resolution is garbage, and you have to hold it perfectly still, because if you move it at all, it just loses the image.
Yeah.
So that's it.
You guys want to play a game real quick?
Always.
Okay. Knowing that the Grom caused a big stir in the motorcycle market, knowing all the manufacturers are out there, who do you think just dropped a fucking Grom destroying everything motherfucking killer?
Ooh. I don't know.
Well, Kawasaki already has their bike, and there's tons of Chinese knockoffs.
Yeah, no, this is one of the
Suzuki has.
one of the big, this is a big manufacturer. One of let's not say top 4, but top 10. Top 10, real, not just not sling poo, but with a backbone. This is like a real manufacturer.
Ducati.
It's the Ducati Monster 135.
Anybody else? Anybody else got an idea? Dan, what do you think?
No idea.
Oscar?
Got nothing.
Aprilia.
Almost. Check this motherfucker out and tell me how many this will sell. You ready?
Go ahead, bring it up. Yeah, okay. All right, here we go. So it's a shit pylon.
Bart Pillin.
Right. I can never spell that right. I was never sure whether it was the smart pillion or the sharp pillion or
Smart.
But
it does look exactly like a smart pillion 701.
Right.
But it's much smaller.
17-inch rims, though.
Really? 17-inch rims?
Yeah. Look at that.
So this is like, this is like the KTM K-pipe.
Ooh.
But with a lot
That's a dual overhead cam liquid cooled 125.
It sure is. Holy shit.
That's really cool, man. That's a good shit.
What does it weigh?
Phil, you need to put those in the stable.
Boy, I'm telling you, I don't know who's I don't
That
know.
doesn't look like it's going to cost $3,600.
No, it doesn't. That does not look like
337 pounds.
That is brilliant. Dude, that thing is
Look at that's a nice size bike too.
Not really light. 337 pounds is not that light.
Look at this though.
6-speed transmission and 15 horsepower and a 125. Here's what's crazy, guys. That 125cc thing is going to mean that there's a hell of a lot of places on planet Earth where you don't need a license to ride that. And the fact that it's got all those cool things, I think the MSRP on this was $27,000.
Did they say anything here? Hold on. Let's see if there's any. I don't see any price.
Come on, Cinchy boy, look it up.
It's made in China. I mean, we know that. But it is like, no shit. I mean, it's ABS. It's all the good things. It's everything you'd ever want to have. And it looks like a shark pillion. So that's kind of cool.
Is it just me, or it looks a little Yamaha-y?
It does. I love the promotional shots have the kid with the skateboard in his backpack. Just got done. He literally just got done coming from the soccer mom next door.
Oh, look at the little turn signals sticking out.
Little turn signals? Oh, it's adorable. Dude, that thing is badass.
Yeah.
That's a good looking bike, man.
I think it's going to be offensively expensive.
Yeah, that's the thing. I wonder how much it's going to be, and I can't.
Yeah. I like it just the way it is, too.
I think it's $3,200.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's.
There's something that said $10,000.
Oh, that was just some idiot.
That's just some. Yeah, right. But I can
Settle
tell
down, Hoff.
I like everything about it, even that ridiculous Husqvarna Svart Pillion gas tank thing that makes no sense. The most ridiculous gas tank ever.
But that's the most legit 125cc motor I've ever seen in my life, though.
I agree. I mean, if they charged you $50 per angle, it would cost $5,000. Right? Yeah, I think it's beautiful. I think it's gorgeous.
Let's just for the hell of it, real quick. Hold on.
Yeah, I would again. I think that's amazing. Yeah, yeah.
I like the tiny radiator and the
around R.
So that's rupees. Yeah, that's rupees. So that's India right there. Yeah. So you can extrapolate from there what the price was in India. which can kind of give you an idea here, but
what is this?
let me get a currency converter going. Yeah.
There we are.
And the chat is saying 6K. Let's see
6K? Yeah.
I how close they get.
Again, I don't doubt that. That's a ton. I mean, there's so much going on with that. For my basic thing is like everything should be compared to the Kymco K pipe, because that's a 125 that is the most basic 17-inch basic thing. Remember the old Madass 125?
Yep.
Well, the old Madass 125, God rest its soul, it suffered quality sag. It used to be great. Then the quality sag drop, forget it. And, that lost all its thing. The K pipe, the Kymco K pipe, kept its quality, and it's the cheapest 125 you can get with a 17-inch wheel in today's market. And they are cheap. There's nothing wrong.
I like the Spade.
Speaking of
the Spade's really good.
But they didn't they?
The Spade's not cheap though. So the Spade is actually really made in Taiwan. It's not made in China. So with the Spade, you are paying for the Taiwan craftsmanship. So a Spade's going to cost you $3,200 to $3,600, where the K pipe's going to cost you $2,300 to $2,700. Right.
Oh, Phil,
so there's about $1,000 difference, which is about like 60%. 70%.
How does the Spade hold up to the TNT 135? Because they're both
hard to tell, because I don't have enough buyers. I don't have enough experience selling that bike to people that are actually out there riding it. Every Spade I've sold, I got 3 guys I've sold Spades to that ride the shit out of them, and they're in good shape. The bikes are still kicking ass. And I've got 2 or 3 guys I've sold TNT 135s to that are riding the shit out of them, and the bikes are still in good shape. So, I don't have anybody that's got like 60,000 miles though on a Spade or a TNT 135. Right.
The Sims are nice too. Those Sim Cafe 150s.
Yes.
The Wolf. The Wolves. Yeah, the Sim Wolves. I mean, I like those. I mean, that's a.
Hey, speaking of the Madass, do you remember, Phil, you sold a yellow one to some dude that went and put fuel injection on it and all kinds of crazy shit and redid the
that
whole
thing circled back, right?
So Mike got it for free.
Okay.
And it's in his garage. We have it on, he has it on the stand. I'm going, and we're trying to recarburate it because the fuel injection died and he can't get it working and it's all fucked. So,
can I have the fuel injection parts?
Yeah, I'll see if Mike can pile them together, but yeah, I'll try to get that for you. But
I've got 3 or 4 of the factory OEM carburetors just sitting on my shelf because we used to take those carburetors off and put larger Mikunis on.
Well, I think we both. He has something. And I also have a 26 millimeter flat or 26 mil flat side that I was going to put on the Grim, but I never did. So
I'm sorry, I hate to do this. Can you look up the price again in rupees? What that sharp pillion was?
Yeah,
I looked it up and it comes out to about $1,800. Believe it or not, in India. So I don't know about here. And I think A-Train also found that as well.
Yeah.
Wow. You think that's
There's no way that bike's selling for $1,800.
No, not here.
They won't keep.
It doesn't include shipping, though.
If it comes within $2,000, they will never keep that in stock for the next 5 years.
No, I mean that's.
No, it'll be 35. It'll be around 3,500, I would say.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you?
I do it all day long. I mean, that's the kind of thing that I think it's gorgeous and I think it looks great, and the knobbies are brilliant. And I'd even let them fuck it up and put DOT turn signals on it and all that other crap. But it's a cool bike, and there's way more going on with that bike. John said it: dual overhead cam, 6-speed transmission, 125 cc's. All that shit's legit.
Liquid cooled.
Liquid cooled, exactly. Yeah, that's it. Now if I didn't weigh 210 pounds, that'd be cool. If I was built like Nick, that'd be cool. But I'm not.
Hey! I'm not paying it out.
I'd rather be built like Oscar.
Thank you, John. Even though you shitted on me before we started the podcast, but I'll let it go. But definitely like an AMA or like just band camp, just shitting around the place. And it looks good. I liked it.
Oh yeah. Hey, there's all kinds of shit. We all said after 3 days of AMA Vintage Days, small bikes look sexy. Like shit that you would never drive on the street at all is totally appropriate for AMA Vintage Days. Yeah. It's like, yes, a CT70 or a CT90, dead sexy. After 3 days of AMA Vintage Days, you're like, I need to buy one of those. But yeah.
Speaking of that, Hoff, did you find out and put a deposit on that new Honda 125 CT?
The dealer said that there's no word of it yet.
Oh, okay.
Look, I will get my Huntsman first. I will get my Hunter Cub first. I'll put the rifle scabbard. I put on the Facebook podcast group. That dude's making those rifle scabbards. I already sent them money. I am ripe to be ripped off because that website was sketchy as shit. I don't believe for a second I'm ever going to see that thing. I think it's like the canoe I ordered on Wish. We're never going to see it.
Right. And
or it's going to be this big.
In 2 days, they're going to get Phil Waters.
It looked really good.
It's an Irish canoe.
In 2 days, you're going to get a thing that says, Phil Water, did you authorize 720 pairs of Nike Jordans or whatever?
On Facebook, on Facebook recently, they had a G.I. Joe Jeep, like a World War II style Willis Jeep that was 1/6 scale, right? Which means G.I. Joe, the old G.I. Joe, 12-inch guys will fit in it perfectly. And it was remote control with rubber tires and windshield wipers that worked in the whole deal.
Wait, just to clarify, though, 12 inches is about that big, right?
Yeah, well, at Clevelandmoto, 12 inches.
In your house, yeah.
In my house, 12 inches. But so my Facebook was overwhelmed with advertisements for this remote control Jeep toy that it was coming into me at like 9 different channels that all thought I should buy this thing for $69. Impossible.
Yeah, right.
Right? To get anything of quality for $69 that is G.I. Joe size, like way this big, like big G.I. Joe guy size. And I was almost going to buy it, except for the fact that about a year ago, somebody told me that I should buy this Volkswagen bus cooler. And it was a cooler. It had a handle, and it was in the shape of a Volkswagen bus. And you could pull it behind you, and it would take ice and beers. And there were pictures of it.
It looked this big.
And it looked like that big, like for real. It was huge. And I saw the pictures of it, and it was very, very big. And I signed up to buy that thing for $39 or whatever it was. And no shit, team, this is what they sent me. They sent me a 4-inch long Volkswagen bus toy.
Here, let's just
this
so
big.
Yep, here, check it out.
This big.
So this is what Phil thought he was getting. Hold on. You thought you were getting this.
You see it. That's exactly it. I swear to God, that's what I was getting.
You got that.
That thing invaded my Facebook, and I was like, that's fucking cool. I'm going to own that. But what they actually sent to my house could fit in some people's butt. It was not cool. And so, yeah, I had to do all the things and get my money back and fight for it and whatever. So anybody who ordered that thing got dicked.
So this is a fake photo, right? That's not the size.
Whatever. No, that thing probably really exists. But the thing that they send you, like the ideas are like, oh, well, you can't say we didn't send you a red and white hippie van, because they did. They sent me a red and white Volkswagen Transporter. The problem was it was like 1/43rd scale.
Right.
You know?
It was on the top of McElfresh's car out in the garage.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. So you got to watch that shit, because if it's on Facebook for sale, it's bullshit.
Well, that's like there's like this 5th scale monster truck with a 46cc motor.
Yeah.
It's called like the Terminator or some shit. It's like $4,000, but it's indestructible.
Yeah.
So on Facebook, same thing. They showed that, and it was $45.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're like, I always report those. Fuck those guys, man.
Yeah, well, the Jeep thing hit my fucking Facebook, and it was like 9 different sellers all trying to get my money. So obviously, if it's green and 4-wheel drive, I need to have it. So yeah, that's the game. But yeah, so be it. That's that. So I sold an AK today.
Oh.
That's AK right. What?
I'm glad you Thank you.
Not 47.
No, I sold an AK 550.
Oh,
And somebody will look that up right now.
Come on, Cinch, for Christ's sake.
AK,
Jesus Christ.
AK Kalashnikov, automatic Kalashnikov. I sold an AK 550. And what that is that's the newest, nastiest, powerfulest scooter from Kymco. That transforming robot matrix insect looking scooter has a twin cylinder, 8 valve, fuel injected, 53 horsepower motor.
So is it the same motor in the BMW?
It is. Thank you for noticing.
It's a silver wing killer.
It is a silver wing killer. Yeah, it is. So there's a lot going on with that bike. And today I sold my very first one of them.
Does it have an electric windshield?
Yes.
What does it cost in rupees?
yeah.
I don't know. I would have to do the math on that, but it costs 8,200 freedom units.
Well, my BV is starting to almost be sold now because I think I need that.
Nice. There you
How
go.
much is this? How much now?
Scroll down.
How much? What's the speed on this thing?
It's the same as your BB.
196 miles an hour.
Perfect.
Fast as you want to go.
Yeah. So this is
Holy shit!
53 horsepower. Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah. This is not fucking around.
dude, that's almost like an NC 750.
Almost identical, in fact.
It's got 50% higher red line.
It is. It's a higher red line and it's more torque than an NC 700.
But it does look like a Piaggio couch.
It does. It is. Look, man, again, this is not my flavor. This is not what I would choose to be, out in the world on.
That's
But
not
this is for a certain person, There's a certain person who's like, I want a freaky fast scooter. And that's what this is. It comes in your choice. I love the color options. It comes in your choice of gray or slightly lighter gray.
But even if the looks that it has,
Wait.
the BB is really fucking comfortable.
Look,
Don't get me wrong.
I've never seen a scooter ad start like this.
Oh, no.
The burnout.
The marketing video gets straight to fuck your commute. I'm going to smoke a tire and have sex with your mom.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it is the fuck you of scooters ever.
I like that they got fucking Vin Diesel's brother or Paul Walker's brother to do this.
Yes, they did. This is Paul Walker's brother. He is actually Paul Walker brought back from the dead.
Right.
It has not.
Second, was that didn't have chain drive, did it? I mean,
No, it's an enclosed drive.
okay.
It's a belt. It's a belt drive.
Yeah, it's a belt drive. There's something
Belt drive.
going on back there.
Yeah.
And Brembo brakes too.
Yep, it's a belt drive. So if you guys want to go back in time, there was an Aprilia 850 scooter. And I don't think one of them ever sold or made it to the United States. And the Aprilia 850 scooter, which I sat on, I rode it. The Aprilia 850 scooter is seriously a giant fuck you. It's the same as it's the Mana motor that was in Steve's bike, right? Mm-hmm. And I rode the 850 scooter. It was not fucking around. Clearly, this bike is Kymco not fucking around. So there you go. So as much as people will fuck with scooters, this is Kymco's ridiculous, hilarious, insanely too much scooter, and
none power scooter.
Yeah, and none of the Bergman bullshit. I'm an old man with a colostomy bag kind of thing. Like this is fucking straight up scary. This is a straight up cool bike,
But they showed in the video, the brown. But check this out. So they actually have 3 options on the website. Let me show you real quick. So you have gray.
Yep.
You have slightly less gray. And then you have darker, slightly less gray.
No, it's actually 2 colors. So the colors are space gray, which is the dark gray, and the other one is called, I'm going to get this right, satin silver crystal.
Oh,
so apparently the lighter color is satin silver crystal or light silver crystal.
Did you see in the video they had a nice maroon looking kind of rust color?
I saw that.
Yeah.
Coppery, yeah.
Coppery,
Yeah. We're not getting that color. My order sheet only has 2 colors on it. It's the silver and the gray. And the silver is apparently like a flat satin, silver. Anyway.
Wow. And they brought the K-pipe back for 2021.
They did. They did bring the K-pipe back. It's the exact same K-pipe it's been forever. So whatever K-pipe you buy, whatever spade you buy, and whatever K-pipe you buy, they're all the same. It doesn't matter what year it is.
I've never had a chance to ride any of those, but at least look-wise, the Aprilias do look sexy for a scooter.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Aprilias have always been the sexy of the scooter mark. Absolutely.
So Phil, I think just if you can talk to the company, since you guys, you sell quite a few Kymcos, I think for Steve's compound, we need a couple of these for testing. I'm just saying.
I was actually looking at Kymco quads, though. They have a 450 that's pretty reasonable.
They do. And I love the way the back of those little baby quads, I like the way the back of their fenders flip up like bat wings. Like at any moment, that thing's going to jump up into the air.
Can you imagine when you hit a bump and you land on that thing with your posterior?
Right in the balls. Yeah.
Yeah, look at this. We need this. This is what we need right here. Look at that.
We've had at our shop, we don't do many quads because that's just not where we go. But we've done a few Kymco quads over the years, and they are solid as fuck. I mean,
it looks good.
Do they make a work quad?
They used to. I don't know if they do anymore.
Something with racks.
Yeah. They used to make a whole fucking flock of quads. In fact, Kymco quads did better in America than Kymco scooters did for a while. But anyway.
Do they make one with a tree growing up between the the engine and the front tire?
Oh, hey, so Steve, did any fire departments ever contact you since the big event?
Yes, they did.
I got a cease and desist order because this fucking neighbor started a fire in my backyard.
Wait, the wood cutting guy?
No, the guy that bought my house started burning all his shit in his backyard. And Friday night, not last Friday, the Friday before that, the week after we got busted, where I got busted, the fire department had to come back with 3 fire trucks and put out the fire in the backyard of my other house.
But you didn't own the other house, did you?
No, I own both houses. I'm still waiting for it to transfer.
So the fire department came and you weren't even there, and they were like, "This dude's burning again."
No, they wrote me up for an unattended fire.
Wow.
And they wrote me up with like 10 different citations. They cited me for like 10 different things. No fire extinguishers, no permit, no unattended fire, too close to a structure, all this other stuff. They wrote me all up, and I got a certified letter.
Wait,
bourbon.
Hold on. Let me just clarify just once, just to make sure.
Circle back on this.
We're not talking about anything from the fire that we did.
No,
I wasn't there.
Nothing.
No. Nothing from that fire because I got it. The post office lady knows who I am. She came to the plant and she's like, "You're in trouble. You got a certified letter from the Oberlin Fire Department." I'm like, "This has already been taken care of." And she's like, "No, it's for your other house." And I said, "What do you mean? It's for my other house."
You didn't get a ticket. You didn't get a arrest warrant from the fire where there were 14 fire vehicles there that they could see from space.
No, they didn't even say boo to me about that.
But you got a literally.
So that first one was your free pass.
Right.
But
evidently,
the second one that you didn't start, that was started by your new landowner.
Yeah.
Right? Now,
and I didn't even know this was happening. My boss texted me and he said, I was in a meeting with a human resource director and she says, your Hoffert's in deep shit. And I'm like, and then he put a little fight. He's like, "Are you burning again at your property?" He texted, "Are you burning again at your property?" And he put like little flames, like little flame emojis. And I'm like, "What the fuck?" And so I called, and then as soon as he sent me that text, the post office lady rolls up with a certified letter from the thing, and I'm like, "Well, I don't understand. I mean, I thought this was resolved." And so I called him. He didn't, like, he called me back an hour later, and he's like, "Yeah, the fire department had to show up again at your house Friday night and put out a fire in your backyard." And I'm like, "Which backyard?" I said, "It's something like," I said, "I haven't so much as lit a match at that place since the first fire." And I'm like, "What the fuck? The guy who bought the house had a fire?" And then, so today I called him up, and he's like, "Oh yeah, there's no fire there right now." So I don't know what, he's like, "There's no fire there right now."
Right now.
2 days ago. Yeah. So that means 2 days ago he had a fire, but he didn't tell me he had a fire.
Right.
So then today I was at the house. I was moving my dump truck and whatever. And he had his boys there, tearing out the house and doing whatever. And he's like, the guy's like, "Oh yeah, sorry about that, bro. We lit that huge fire in the backyard and we left."
Oh my God.
What the fuck?
That's what I said. And he's like, "Yeah, Aaron told us not to do it, but we didn't, whatever.
Are they trying to
we just did it. We just had to get rid of some stuff." And I'm like, "But we'll never do it again. Bro, we'll never burn anything in the backyard again. Ever.
No
we won't burn anything."
So you can't even have a fucking bonfire?
I have to get a permit, but then they already said in the letter, "We will not be issuing you any permits for fires."
No, clearly not, because they let you slide on literally the towering inferno that used to be a barn. So when your so does he own that place yet or not?
No, all the paperwork's at the title agency, and I'm waiting for the cash.
Oh shit.
So, I mean, but basically I have a rental agreement with him because he wanted to get in and start working on it.
Yeah.
So he paid me to get in early. So we have like a rental agreement where he's renting the property from me. So he's my renter, but I'm still the owner while the paperwork goes through.
Steve, I do know a guy who will buy that property from you right now.
Cash.
If you want to make all those problems go away, but although apparently if I bought,
they don't want that property because you can't light fires.
If I buy that property, the first thing I'm going to have to do is send an edible hooker arrangement to the fire chief of 3 different cities. So,
well, if the other property that I sent letters to today comes through, then that's not in New Russia Township. That's in Carlisle Township.
my God, man.
Yeah, and they don't care about fires over there.
No, that's out of the Oberlin Fire District, I think. Plus, this thing is so buried, you'd never know that there was a fire there.
Like, I'm not joking. I would buy Steve's other property because Steve's other property is connected to a property that the owner doesn't want to do anything with. So, like, you would buy Steve's other property and you'd essentially have this next door neighbor that could never or would never occupy it. And that'd be the perfect property for me to buy. Done.
And I would never occupy it, so it doesn't matter. You'd have 2 people that would never occupy anything.
Exactly. So you buy a property and you essentially get 2 properties, and then you get Steve next door as your neighbor. So now you can run dirt bikes all over the fucking place, and you basically have a dirt bike park that backs up to where Steve and John work.
Right.
Or where Steve used to work.
I know, really.
And now John McElfresh is the supervisor.
That's a super.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I'm trying to float to the top of the septic system right now.
I bet you John's the one who lit the fire.
Yeah, he goes out there every night and lights another fire just to get me fucking fired.
We know how to get this guy out of here.
Steve, when you're tired of fucking around with the guy who's committing arson on the property you're trying to sell him, let him know that his rent is done. He can fuck his hat, and I'll be happy to buy that property off for you.
Well, I'm waiting for the 2 twitchy guys to burn it down accidentally. I mean, because it's those guys are like, you know, I was talking to them today, and they have these like twitches, like they're like, yeah, we'll do. It's like, I'm like, what's the matter with you?
Oh man.
So
Their money still spends.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it spends maybe on a little.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, again, all you got to do is tell them the deal's off and kick them out, and I'll just pay you tomorrow. I'll give you the money. So,
what's the deal on the barn? The barn with the silo and the silo shitter.
We talked about it last week, but I'll just give you the updates. It was a giant piece of shit. Again, there are very few properties that I've ever walked into and said I wouldn't spend the night in there. And this was like one of those horror movies where you're like, I don't think I'd spend the night in there. It was interesting, but it's interesting in so much as you like to look at other people who own it and go, wow, you've made quite a commitment to a bad idea. I would never buy it. No way. It was 3 acres of the strangest property ever, a triangle-shaped lot, very narrow at the front gate, very wide at the back, and it backed up to what I like to call the fire swamp from the Princess Bride movie. It was a place where no human can exist, and it was hundreds of acres in the backyard that you don't own, but it was literally 100% swamp and hawthorn. So awful. And then the barn itself, complete and utter devastation. Nothing good can come out of that. So somebody will buy it. No, not me. So it's a mess. It was an absolute mess.
When you posted the pictures of what you looked at before you went there,
yep.
There's they should be sued for false advertising. It's not.
But here's the good news is. The good news is that guy didn't publish any of that shit.
No, it was me. I'm the one that knew that he wanted to sell it. So, right. I mean, I don't know. I fixed the guy's wastewater plant. That's what I do.
Terry, the owner of it, is a super nice guy. And he wasn't trying to lie about anything. He spent the past 8 years since he bought it tearing out sheetrock, tearing out insulation that was waterlogged because somebody took a barn and tried to turn a barn into a livable commercial, party center. And John McElfresh said it best. Barns are built the way they're built to keep hay from catching on fire.
Right. You need aeration. You need stuff moving through them and stuff. Yeah.
It is not watertight like a frog's ass. It is basically shade.
Oh.
Yeah.
Usually when you're putting the boards on a barn, you always give a little space so it'll breathe.
It's exactly
I got cussed out because I cut a window in one because I was tired of shoveling grain in the dark. And he's like, oh, now the birds are going to get in. I'm like, well, now light's getting in and I can see what the fuck I'm doing.
Yep. Yeah. So a barn is a strange thing because every suburban rich asshole has this idea that they're going to go out into the adjacent countryside to the big city and buy a barn and turn it into a fucking big house. And that's exactly what happens is people see that barn on a piece of property. And they're like, well, nobody's milking cows there or cutting steaks there anymore. I'm going to turn that into a kick-ass big 4,000 square foot house with giant cathedral ceilings. Buy a church.
Basically you're going to have to build a house inside the barn.
That's exactly right. Yeah. The outside of the barn is it's just a barn. It's meant to keep hay dry. That's it. So fuck that. So I've learned my lesson. Stay the fuck away from barns.
Unless you're purpose building a barn. I mean, if you purpose build it, it's not a big deal. But the steel barns are pretty much airtight.
Yeah. I mean,
not airtight, but they're watertight.
Yeah, and if I were to build a 4,000 square foot building somewhere, I'd build a big steel building and off you fuck,
Right.
Fun, right.
So, did you guys hear the story about the Amber Alert that went out in Texas the other day?
No.
So, an Amber Alert sent to Texans last week warned that a child had been abducted by Chucky, a 28-year-old male with red or auburn hair, blue eyes that stands 3 feet 1 inch tall. His race was given as Other Doll. The alert was sent by email and warned of a 16-pound suspect wearing blue denim overalls wielding a huge kitchen knife. They included the picture or an image of Chucky, the killer doll introduced in the 1988 slasher film Child's Play. It says the Texas Department of Public Safety has since apologized, saying in the statement it was sent as a result of a test malfunction. We apologize for the confusion that it's caused, and we're diligently working to fix it. So then it says the alert identified the abductee as Glenn, a 5-year-old boy wearing a blue shirt and a black collar. The doll's name is Glenn and the Chucky child. She says that the alert said that Chucky and Glenn were last seen at a residential address in Henderson, Texas, about 130 miles southeast of Dallas. A woman answered a call to a phone number associated with the addresses. Yes, I'm aware when they asked about the alert that went up. And then Dan Mancini, the director and screenwriter who created the Chucky character, shared the news item about the alert on Twitter saying, "Please find them."
So
somebody just spoofed the Texas Department of Transportation.
You guys,
that was great.
I liked when they hacked the road signs and said "Zombie Apocalypse," warning, "Zombie Apocalypse ahead."
Okay. Does anybody remember the theme song for My Buddy?
my buddy,
My buddy.
my buddy,
My buddy.
he goes wherever
Whatever he does,
I go.
I do. We do.
Yeah.
My buddy and me like to climb up a tree. My buddy and me, he's the best friend he can be. So when Genuine Scooter Company came out with their Buddy scooter in 2006, I fucking recoiled in agony that I was going to be forced to sell a product that was called My Buddy. And that stupid song got into my brain box and wouldn't leave. It burrowed around like an earwig. It was awful. And I was just like, every time I walked into the shop and I saw those bikes, I was just like, my buddy, my buddy and me like to climb up a tree. My buddy and me is the best friend. I fucking became livid over their decision to name that bike My Buddy. I mean, oh, fuck. It was just awful. It was terrible. And
Lost him.
And that's the end of Phil Waters for the evening.
Yep.
My buddy.
Yeah. I mean, they made him that way on purpose. I mean, those fucking things.
I think Bill went to go get his My Buddy doll.
I think he did. Well, while we wait, what year do you think these motorcycles are? You ready?
All right.
Here we go. What do you guys think?
2000.
Anybody?
2009. I'll go farther back.
Well, it says 2021 at the top, so I'll say 2021.
Yeah. So
Nick, no fair.
My buddy.
these are all the new 2021 Harleys, and they look exactly the
They look the
same
same.
as every other Harley ever made.
Of course they are.
Ever.
it's a Harley.
They didn't do anything.
Oh, the fat Bob looks a lot better.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the Milwaukee 8. So, I mean, obviously, the Milwaukee 8 is a big deal, and that's cool, and that's great. But you're right. Every other bike, I mean, the motor's different. The bike is the same, you know?
It just looks like, but you'd think they would try to do a little something different. Oh, you're stabbing my buddy.
Fucking Buddy, man. I'm telling you, the fucking Buddy. That song, that's just the whole fucking thing. Like, everything about that stupid fucking marketing plan of calling that bike My Buddy. And it turns out it was genius because everyone loves it. And fuck, pissed me off, man. So, anyway, I digress.
I digress. Yeah.
If you guys have been watching the news and stuff with all the Wall Street and everything like that, Harley is not doing well at all. Like they dropped a shit ton of points.
Very happy that when I bought my stock for Harley-Davidson many years ago, I bought it at about $13 a share. Yeah. So I'm safe. It's not going to, I mean, it ain't going to go back to where I bought it.
Right.
But I do get the shareholder updates, and they're pretty hilarious to read those. Things like, you know, we are going to maintain our commitment to the Guangdong Chinese company. We're going to maintain our commitment to India's, company. All the people that build parts for them, they are making a point in their shareholder briefing to let them know that we're not going to leave you, even though we're leaving 14 or 15 different markets right now. We are still going to honor the contracts that we wrote to you. You know,
Hoffert's asleep.
The guys who make the Benellis and everything else.
We're down 11% this month.
Yeah, and this is so, you know, just the other day they announced their whole deal, and they said that they're spinning off. In my letter, it said they're spinning off the Livewire into a whole new subdivision. So electric is going to be a subdivision of Harley-Davidson now, and that's why there was no 2021 Livewire on their main website. I don't know if I believe them, or are they trying to turn Harley-Davidson electric into like a Buell kind of thing, so that when it tanks, that doesn't actually affect Harley-Davidson's main gig, you know?
No, it'll be like First Energy. We'll split the company, we'll split our nuclear power plants off and say that they're bankrupt, and we'll just keep the profits for ourselves.
I don't know, but they made it a point in the shareholders letter to specifically say that they were creating a separate division for electrics. So whatever that means, I don't know. But they still have not admitted or said this is the Livewire 2021. They have not said that. That like there's no picture of a 2021 Livewire. Yeah.
So the real question is anybody GameStop in the stock?
No.
Is anybody shorting the stock? And
no, I don't see that as happening because I again, just like anything, I don't think the nerds really want to save Harley-Davidson, or the nerds don't want to play the game. The Reddit guys don't want to play the game with Harley-Davidson because it does represent old guard. And Harley-Davidson is also one of these things that it's like if you add it up and you go, okay, well, if they lost 18% and then they lost 21% and then they lost 25% and then they lost 22% and then they lost 11%, that adds up to more than 100%. So
but that's where the institutional investors come in and they short the stock.
Yeah,
so once the stock starts getting shorted, that's when the GameStoppers come in and start buying it long.
Yeah. Yeah,
well, I think they did it for GameStop just out of like nostalgia too. Yeah. But I'm just saying that they were trying to screw. They ended up at one point they were trying to screw the institutional buyers.
Sure,
but their coalition fell apart because they were too profit hungry, and when they started taking profits, then their coalition fell apart and they fucked each other. So I mean, it's kind of fallen apart.
It went from 20 to 400. Now it's back to 40. So
yeah,
but they knew that it was a failing company. But in this case, the Livewire, it's like any other company, a first generation of anything. It's sketchy.
Goddamn hijackers, man. I hate it when our Zoom gets hijacked. Every week our Zoom gets hijacked.
Hey, Cinch, there's an online a competition to see who's going to go down first.
I heard about this. I might have heard about this. Apparently
I think Johnny went down first.
I like my penis much better.
I know mine was like mine was horrible.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
That's what Mrs. Cinch was telling us.
I know.
That was awful. Oh man.
That was the worst rendition of a dick I've ever seen in my life.
It was bad. It was like waxy and brittle. It was strange. I couldn't figure out what was going on with that thing. And it was like,
like something you found under a log.
I've seen some Snapchat filters, but I've never seen anything that bad before. That was really lousy. Yeah. That was a crap dick. Yeah.
Hey, you want to hear a joke?
It was Cinch's self-portrait.
Yeah. I had to stretch it. I had to make it presentable.
All pixelated.
I'm pretty sure that wasn't human.
Looks like some lousy Photoshop.
That was a monkey dick or something.
All right, one last joke.
Yeah?
So an older lady's doing some housework chores on a beautiful Sunday morning when suddenly the doorbell rings. So she opens the door and a well-dressed man is standing there and says, "Hello, I'm a Jehovah's Witness. Do you have a moment to discuss the holy word?" The lady was in a good mood and just put on a pot of coffee, so she invited the man in, sat at the kitchen table with him, She offered him a cup of coffee and noticed he was looking a little lost. She says, "Now, what would you like to talk about, dear?" The man replied, "Beats the hell out of me. I've never gotten this far."
You've seen one, you've seen them all.
Those poor Jehovah's Witnesses are so misunderstood.
Oh, man.
I always talked to the guy that came to my house, and then he said he had like a 69 Cadillac. And he would come to my house and he's like, "Oh, yeah." And then one day he didn't have his Cadillac anymore. And he said, the church made him get tithe or whatever. So then he stopped coming around. And then like 3 years later, I saw him in like the bin when the bin was around. Yeah. And he looked like he didn't shave for like 3 years. He looked like he was homeless. It was like he got booted out of the church for some reason. Maybe like they didn't like his car or whatever, but he got booted. And I felt really sorry for the guy.
He ran out of cash. So
yeah.
My favorite Mormon thing is stunt cock. Do you guys know stunt cock from the greatest movie ever made? You guys know this?
No.
So the guys from South Park made a movie called Orgasmo. And Orgasmo is about a superhero that like has an arm thing that can shoot people and make them have an orgasm. But because it's South Park, the two main characters are Mormon, and he's just trying to sell Bibles, but he accidentally knocks on the door that they're shooting porn. And they're like, "Come here, you can make a lot of money." And he needs money. So he agrees to do it, but he won't actually have sex. So like he does all the stuff up until sex, and then they go, "Stunt cock." And then some big black guy comes in with like a 14-inch dong and like replaces Matt Stone in the thing. It's amazing. It's the best thing ever.
So I will tell you, I got a good piece of email today. Our SSR 125s have shipped.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. So
Very nice.
we've got 5 more SSR 125s coming in a complete mix, a rainbow of fruit flavors. So we'll take the 110 back and we'll populate the burn pit with
burn.
We'll pop it so the police can get called for other things other than random fires. It'll just be the sound of that, going on over and over and over again. So we did. I did want to say that we did get one question about what is the difference, and this is kind of a big deal. Is what's the difference between a pit bike and a dirt bike? And this is kind of relevant to our interests. There is a difference between a dirt bike and a pit bike.
One's got documentation.
Well, yeah, that could be it too. So what one of our podcast listeners had said, hey, look, what I thought it was I thought that it was that we had the difference was they. This is from Sean O'Hara, and Sean O'Hara says, I thought that the difference between a pit bike was anything less than 150 cc's, but it appears the term coincided with Chinese bikes. I can't say that I've seen a CRF, JR, or PW labeled as a pit bike. Am I wrong? And then Sean O'Hara says, have a shot for me. Way ahead of you. So here's the difference between a pit bike and an actual motocross bike. Here's the way I'd like to tell people. Remember that pit bikes were originally meant to be literally used in the pits of racing other types of things. So you'd be racing your street bike, or you'd be racing your dragster, or you'd be racing your car, street rod car, or whatever. And you'd have a little mini bike that you would use to get you from where you camped or where your tent was set up, where your hot pits were, where you would be between races. But you'd have to go all the way to the tower to get your pre-race briefing, to get the stats, to get your times. The tower was central to the racetrack, and then everybody else was scattered out. and it can be pretty fucking far away. So what people started doing is they started grabbing these little mini bikes, these cute little adorable kids mini bikes, and they would take them to the track, and you'd just have your leathers on and shit, and you just jump on the mini bike and haul ass over to the tower where you could get your pre-race briefing and all that shit, and then you'd go back to your pits. And it was a pit bike. It was not meant to be ridden off-road. It was not meant to be ridden on the racetrack. It was just something that got you from where you were camped or where your pit was to the tower. And what happened is, in the lull in the activity at lunchtime, between when the racers would be out on the track and then they'd bring people in for lunchtime, they would do things to keep people interested. And one of the things they would do to keep people interested is they would have pit bike races. Nice. And I've been to a bunch of these racetracks where that shit happened, and they'd say, okay, get out your pit bikes, show up on the grid, and go ride your pit bikes on the track. And they would do a lap or two or whatever, and motherfuckers would race.
What? I'm just looking down. I looked at my phone.
That might count as friendly fire.
Jeez.
My God, that was served on a platter too.
So that's a little well done for my taste, but okay.
You might got to turn that one a little more. That was all black, all burned up.
Yeah.
So pit bikes.
My phone.
Yeah. So pit bikes were, but a motocross bike is actually meant to jump in the air. So pit bikes are not really meant to jump in the air. Pit bikes are meant to be like, they look like dirt bikes and everything else, but they are not really up to the standard of a motocross bike. A motocross bike, whether it's 125 cc's or 80 cc's or whatever, a motocross bike is actually meant to go jumping through the air. And a pit bike is not meant to go jumping through the air.
I don't think Travis Pastrana and the Nitro crew knew that, though.
Right. Yeah. So, like, look, KTM makes some amazing 80cc bikes that can go jumping through the air.
Right.
SSR makes some 70cc bikes and 110cc bikes that should never go jumping through the air. So that's the difference. My personal thing, pit bike, no air.
You know, when I had my Suzuki SP250, the trail version of it, the DR250, it didn't have a license plate or lights or anything like that. I heard, or I think I've read it being referred to as a pit bike, which I'm not sure how accurate that is, but that begs the question, what's the difference between a pit bike and a trail bike?
Mm-hmm. Well, and a pit bike too, though, by nature of it being called a pit bike, not street legal.
Yeah.
So pit bikes, in my experience, if it's a pit bike, if you're saying I need to get a pit bike, legality is not an issue, right? Now, you can use anything you want as a pit bike. I've gone to races before where my pit bike had more cc's than my race bike. That's for real. I have used my PC 800. I have used the CBX 1000 to be my pit bike for the bike I was actually racing at the race.
And to be fair, you have to take into when are we talking about? Because back in the 70s, it might have been a seat or a little 50cc three-wheeler. In the 80s, it could have been a Honda Cub. Right. In the 90s, so like every year it changes. And now once people figured out that people like them, now you were flooded in with pit bikes from all these different manufacturers.
That's right.
Yeah. So
pit bikes,
the trail bike can do miles of trail.
Right.
So, you're not going to get on a pit bike and take it out a pipeline and go out, ride a pipeline as far as it can go.
Right.
Ooh, good question from the listeners here. Were those considered pocket bikes or pit bikes back in the day?
Pocket bikes is its own religion.
Okay.
So look up Blata, B-L-A-T-A. Mm-hmm. So Blata is a Czechoslovakian company that basically took the idea of these little toy bikes that the European manufacturers were making, little two-stroke, but they had bodywork to make them look like sport bikes. And then Blata, B-L-A-T-A, they went ape shit with it. And Blata, I give them credit because they built little Ducatis, they built little Yamahas. They built all kinds of little bikes, and pocket bikes are straight up legit. It's a pocket bike. You look like a monkey fucking a coconut.
I forgot about those.
Yeah. And we used to sell a lot of pocket bikes, and we sold pocket bikes. We sold pocket choppers. We sold all kinds of that little shit. But for years and years and years, the ones that we knew people that rode them, you know, there's YSR racing and then there's pocket bike racing. So YSR racing is like gorillas on bikes. And pocket bike racing is like gorillas riding helmets that have tires on them.
Well, check this out. Check this out. This got announced like a couple days ago or something.
Yeah.
I think. February. Oh, a year ago. This was a year ago, but they had a big announcement today too. And so Moto America is starting a whole series, and pit bikes got so popular, they're doing this brand right here, which is a 190. It's a 190 like Honda style motor.
So yeah, this particular brand, what they've done is they've created a racing class around this product. And that's not the first time that's happened. There have been many racing classes that were established around a particular product. And usually it takes a lot of money behind there to say that. But usually, this is a class for people up to the, 15, like under 15 and over 15.
Yeah, but look at that. So 190s. So like adults, if you have a set of full leathers and about $5,000, you can race Moto America now.
Yeah. You can race Moto America, or you can go to YSR League and go race with the guys at YSR League on less expensive, more available, different classes kind of thing.
Right.
I think that just like the Red Bull Cup was like the KTM small bikes. That will turn into a money game eventually.
Yeah.
So maybe getting into grassroots stuff like YSR racing in your neighborhood, or like our friends that do the Circus Bear Racing League, which are all 50 cc's, 50cc Hondas and shit indoors. That might be a fun way to get stupid too. So I just hear the sound of 220 pounds of bones hitting the wall at high speed.
For those pictures, they definitely need to put someone in there for context of scaling. There's no fucking way. I mean, you can tell that it's a small bike, but who fucking knows how small that fucking thing is?
It's not that small though. Hold on, man. They're pretty cool.
We sold a couple of pocket bikes back in the day that were 70 cc's, and they would rip down the alley at 45 miles an hour, way too fast for their own good. What he's talking about, these mini motos, these mini GPs and stuff that they're doing, they're not that small. They're TNT 135 size. Like they're legit.
Oh.
Yeah, like look, like here. I can't get these damn because of stupid stuff.
And I believe they're 12. I believe those are 12 inches, 12-inch wheels on there.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah.
So like, look, that's a full size dude. I mean, they're small, but they're not tiny.
That is a child.
Oh, that's a good size.
No, it's a decent.
Go look to your left. There's a couple of adults standing there next to a couple of children. There you go. That's the picture you want to see.
Yeah, but it's a decent sized bike because that's the kid one. You know, so
that shit's tiny.
It is tiny, but it's not as small as you'd think it would be, like.
Yeah, I don't know. I could have that. I mean, that's a really small bike.
No, there you go. That's the size of it is, and that's a kid.
There you go.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, for an adult, you're going to look like a monkey fucking a football, but at the same time, it's still rideable, though,
Oh,
you can still fuck yourself up with that one. I mean, it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool, though. I'd love to do that. That'd be fun.
And that's, any getting on the track, the whole idea of nearly killing your friend over a $7 trophy, so you can, shout about how cool you are and stuff. That's what it is. I don't
you can buy those things for $7.
Oh no! What time is it? Oh.
I can close my eyes for
For any of our podcast viewers, we start recording at midnight, and we generally go from midnight till 3 a.m. That's why these guys drop off like flies. It's a weird thing. There's daylight savings time, and then there's
sewer guy time.
Yeah, Lake Erie region thing. Yeah.
So John used to be able to stay up no problem. Then he started working for Steve, and now he's falling asleep constantly. I see how this works. I'm glad I didn't.
Did you take donuts into work on your first day?
Of course I did.
Of course you did. Fucking class operation right there.
He's a class employee.
Yeah.
He's moving right to the top.
He's sucking my life force from me.
I'm starting to really feel.
So Hoff, does he know how to split wood? Does he know how to split wood?
Yeah, he disappeared as soon as the thing started. I split it all myself. I split that whole trailer myself.
So Steve had put out a thing back a while ago saying like, "Hey,
Took you long enough.
I'm looking for a couple of guys to work, whatever." And I was too far away in case like a water pipe broke. And I'm starting to really not regret this decision.
So, I've got this flavor in my nose right now that I can't get out. It's called Rawwell. And yeah. And it wouldn't be so bad if it was just one note. But as I sat there in my living room today, I could actually pick out every one of the thousands of assholes, one by one, a symphony of each turd. It just kept mutating. It would be like one smell, but another one. It just like it was, yeah.
Beautiful.
Who designed the fucking Rawwell so that you got to go in this little block building and stand over a fucking tank and open the valves while it fucking shits right below you.
And if you close it too fast,
thousands of gallons. I mean, like the valves could have been outside and you just turn them and it fills up and you close them. But no, you're literally standing looking down in the pit. It's awesome. I love it.
what happens if you close it too fast?
In case anyone.
Then you better fucking stand on. I was literally, so if you close the valve too fast, the guy was chuckling when he designed all this. He's like, oh, this is going to be good. If you close the valve too
John, if you fall in, try to keep your mouth closed.
Yeah.
So hold on.
The scope that is right there beside you goes and runs over, and a 300-pound guy who's turning a valve all of a sudden is standing up on a T-handle trying not to get shit on his feet.
So hold on. I want to get this straight. This is called a raw well.
Yeah. So this comes off like sludge. Yeah, it's all the sludge. It's the poop that settles. So it comes into a tank and it slows down and all the stuff settles out to the bottom. And on the bottom, there's a pipe that opens up and you turn a valve and that all rushes into the raw well. And you fill up the raw well and then close all the things. And then you turn a pump on and it sends it up to the digester. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
lucky.
Special.
You're lucky, man.
When you say the words raw well, all I think is steak raw, steak well.
No.
Believe me, it's well done when it gets to there.
Yeah. And then there's the good stuff. So you want to get the good stuff. So like if you turn the valve right, nice and slow, and let it come easy, you get the real thick stuff, and then you go like this, and it goes from being a little water, and then you get this nice little plume of like muck, just nice bubbly stuff. That's the stuff you want. The digester likes that.
Wow.
That sounds perfect for the audio listeners for all this shit.
I used to hate making videos for
that. You're going to fill that raw well like 2 or 3 times. And you're going to pump a total of about 4,000 or 5,000 gallons of thick diarrhea.
How much does this come
to the digester?
So can you tell what comes from a Janus compared to an anus? That was from a listener, not me. I'm sorry.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Blame it on the listener.
Not even kidding around. I go way back. With plumbing, and like my thing is like if plumbers charge $300 an hour, that's $300 not enough, right? Like poop is something that I have had to dig out my own septic shit. Like I've had poop related problems my whole life. I have had plumbing related problems my whole fucking life. But when somebody makes the decision to enter into the scatatorial arts, well done.
Yeah, it's interesting. But I think I'll get used to it. Maybe in 20 years. No.
Hoff has never shared this much detail with us in the past.
I think you're missing an opportunity. You should start a YouTube channel called Scat Chat and just show all the stuff you're doing every day.
That woke him up.
Oh, that's the only thing that's really fun. Most of it's not bad.
Yeah.
I mean, taking samples and stuff like that. You could imagine that at a certain point, it's been like all the guys, it's like, oh, here's the raw sewage, just dump it, pour it in a thing, you do a sample. You don't really get too picky about, oh no, I got some on my hand.
Until you fucking scratch your lip later on when you're not.
Yeah, well, it's a good idea to wash your hands frequently.
Not that bad.
It's not that bad.
It's not. I mean, I just, in my mind, if I was engineering that, I just don't think I would have made it so I had to literally stand in the tank to open the valves.
No, there's no, and to make it even more fun, there's no floor. It's a grate over a pit, and it's like you're standing. Like it looks like and the grate's like, it's in a moist environment. You think the thing's going to collapse when you're standing on it, and you'd fall into a pit of just raw sludge. It's just
it's literally the screen door in a submarine.
Yeah.
So John's been.
But then I was talking with Nick. Nick was like, "Yeah, you see those valves down there? I had to go replace that." And I'm like, "Oh, that's a bad day when you've got to go down in the pit and work on the valve."
Yeah, he did. He replaced the guts of those the Zurich plug valves.
It was like my second week on the job.
So it's going to be.
I can only imagine what's in store for me.
Yep, the CDC is studying you because you're a walking fucking vaccine at this point.
I'd just be like, so we need to go in the pit and we need to replace all those valves that have been under human sewage for how long?
Oh, well, every day, 3 times a day
for 100 years.
We're just going to blow this up. We're just going to explode this, or we're just going to dump concrete on it. And we're going to dump concrete on it, and it's going to go away, and we're going to build a new sewage plant that doesn't have this problem. I'm sure there's a way we can science our way right around this problem. Yeah.
So, John, have you noticed your wife staying a little further away from you now when you come home from work?
I happened to mention that I maybe had a little bit of flavor in my nose. And she's like, oh, my God, I don't know. I think I smell it now. I don't know. She's like, go take a shower. Change your clothes.
John's like, I love my new job. I love my new boss. I'm getting money, whatever. But my wife hasn't touched me.
No, I don't love my new boss.
Can't even imagine. I cannot imagine for the life of me because you're going to become immune to it. You're going to become numb to it. It's going to be like you can't smell it anymore. It's going to be like you don't even know it's on you. And then it's going to be like you're going to be in the driveway and Peggy's going to have the blaster, like a 1500 PSI power washer. And she's going to be shooting it up your nose holes in every orifice.
Honestly, that's just like that's only like a limited amount of it. You do that and it's just like a minute or two of your day, but it is such an intense smell that it gets you in the nose. And it doesn't, I don't think I actually smell when I came home. I think she smelled my feet or something, but
that's not saying a lot, dude. That's saying you have a problem with your feet.
But that little flavor in the nose, that's something special.
You haven't hit the putrefied grease yet.
Yeah, you got to put the Vicks.
I'm looking forward to that.
Nozzle. You're going to be like
I don't smell the ferrets anymore.
Yeah, the grease is fun. We scoop grease balls. Remember, I don't know if you were out there. Remember that one pit that had those little grease balls floating around?
I like the one that has like the ripped up diapers and shit coming out in strings.
Oh, yeah, you got to pull rags.
Yeah,
you get to pull rags.
Yeah. But you know what? I have to admit, every time we've gone to Steve's plant and stuff like that, before I knew anything about them at all, I figured that they would smell just like shit when you walked up, but they didn't.
Yeah.
Like your plant, yeah, it doesn't smell like that at all.
Like I said, most of the day, that it's just the Rawwell experience. That's the good stuff.
I'm sure there's some cherry spots that when you're like,
yeah.
spot, you're like, okay, yeah.
No way, man. Yeah.
It depends on which end of the plant you are. If you're over where the influence coming in, and all the fresh stuff is coming in an open trough, then
Yeah.
Yeah,
By the time you get over towards the filters and everything, everything's good.
you have the influence of the plant and you have the Janus.
Where it comes into the Janus, you don't want to be there. You don't want to be where it's coming into the Janus.
All right,
So I see a pattern now that Johnny Mac is wearing the beanie now, the same as
That's just a coincidence.
All right.
That's a
He's
coincidence.
starting to be assimilated. Next, the glasses come.
Yeah, next dark glasses.
I'm gonna the thick transitions glasses. I'm gonna let you guys. We're gonna let our listeners and our viewers off the hook. We're gonna let you guys go. I am gonna call attention to. So just pay attention that you have a disgruntled gentleman's ride in your world. If you live somewhere, you got a DGR, you want to ride in it, go do it. If you don't have a DGR, make one. You can host a DGR. You can do it. I know you can do it because I do it every year. And we've been hosting the DGR for many years here in Cleveland, and it's fun, and we have a good time doing it. And you get to ride your weird, shitty bikes or whatever you want to do because it's DGR and it's weird. Just dress up. And if you don't know what it means by dress up. So that's a little, yeah, there you go. So do that. And then if you like this shit that Steve put together, this Twitch, if you like the Twitch, let us know, because I'm curious to hear how people liked it. I didn't have the little screen going on the side, so I couldn't read any of your comments this week, but I'll change that for next week.
Yeah, and like this was like a test run, so we're gonna figure this out. We'll tailor it and we'll figure out how to do it, whatever. But I mean, we had at least 25 to 30 people, then down to 14 and 15. There were people there.
Wow, that's cool.
Thank you for tuning in.
Yeah,
And if you guys like the shit the other Steve was putting together, let us know about that too.
There you go. So that's all I got. Just remember to ride fast and take chances. Play us out, John.
Bum, 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 bum.
Push the button.
Button.
I'm trying. Hold on, I got it.